I love the movie so much. It was one of the most fun films I've seen in a really long time. And I think that's part of the film's charm, is that it's not perfect. The actors and the characters were all pleasant. Do you know what I mean? When something just feels pleasant to watch. This is easily my favorite interpretation of the character. He's not some brooding, overpowerful, aura farming god like Henry Cavill came across sometimes.
I'm old, Sean. What does aura farming mean?
I'm prepared to back against the wall 1v2 defend this film.
Even though there are things I don't like about the writing, the acting I thought across the board was really fun and really interesting. I thought it was great. Overall, I was very, very happy with it. I didn't feel like this Superman grew or changed in any meaningful way. And that's not me saying he's a terrible character. It's just he didn't go on a hero's journey in this movie.
I feel like it wasn't Superman who needed to change. I feel like it was everyone else around them.
Okay, Content Farm 18. If you can't tell from the general thematics of the overlay, this is basically a Superman special. I think the movie came out a couple of weeks ago now, but we've all just got around to seeing it, like Peter just saw it the other day. I just think it'd be fun to talk about, especially since we don't talk about movies that often. So I think this would be a nice place to get like a really big bit of content in there. And
not because we want to, but only because it's content.
It is called Content Farm. Like, come on.
That's true. We're not hiding our intentions.
Nah, genuinely, I love doing stuff like this. Like watching a film, getting loads of notes down, and then just going crazy talking about it. That's like, that's what I wanted to do when we started the show in the first place. That's exactly what we're going to do.
That's what we're going to do.
That being said, should we jump straight into James Gunn's 2025 Superman DC reboot?
Oh, yeah.
Actually, maybe we should give like a 2-second primer on what each of us, like just setting the stage, how each of us think about superhero movies before we get into this.
Good idea. I was about to ask like what's their experience with like DC or something, but yeah, that's better. That makes sense. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll start it off because I will say I have some things to say about the James Gunn Superman film, but I'm not I'm not typically a superhero film hater. I'm just a nitpicker by trade. I nitpick through everything. But I love superhero films. My first one was the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. I'm actually curious, Sean, have you seen those? Have you seen the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies?
Yeah, cool. Obviously I'll save it for my part, but I'm a big superhero guy. I love all those movies.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm a big superhero film as well, or superhero fan of the genre as well. And I'll just say my top couple favorites that come to mind are in the MCU, probably Civil War would be one of my favorites. Really like the Avengers films. I cried during Spider-Man 3, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 3. I love No Way Home. Huge fan. I cried when James Franco died, y'all. I cried when James Franco died, and he's like, I'm your friend, Peter. And Peter's like, no, you're my best friend. Aww. I was the guy in the cry. I was like the geeky kid being like, James Franco, no. Like I actually, I actually totally wept, man.
That is a good scene.
Yeah, that is my preamble. That's my relationship with superhero films. What about you, Sean? I want to hear your thoughts.
I would say in terms of like starting, I remember the big superhero films when I was growing up were those Tobey Maguire superhero movies. I feel like for most people in my age group, like in between 20 and 30, that's going to be the case. I feel like a lot of people grew up on those Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. That was my introduction to like a superhero being in live action. That was definitely my introduction. And then I remember in 2008 or 2007 or whatever, I remember Iron Man dropping. No one knew what we were getting into with that, but then, as most kids my age did, I got really into the MCU. I've always dabbled a little bit in DC, but I just like as I'm sure we'll talk about in a little bit, I feel like they've had a much more rocky road. So Marvel was always kind of the go-to superhero content for me. Again, really like all the MCU. Watched all of it at least up until Endgame. I've watched most stuff post Endgame, but like with a lot of people, I think there was a drop off of interest a little bit. I haven't watched some of the shows. And I haven't watched Captain America Brave New World. I haven't watched that film either. In terms of like my favorite comic book movies, probably Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 1 and 2. I love those. 3 I'd like as well, but I'm maybe a bit less so than the first two. Captain America Winter Soldier. Captain America Civil War. Iron Man 1, Iron Man 3. I love. Thor Ragnarok, I love. Avengers, maybe skip Ultron, but then Infinity War and Endgame, fantastic, huge fan. And then skipping over to DC a little bit, massive fan of the Nolan Dark Knight trilogy, massive fan. Yes. All three films,
Yeah.
even the first one, I think is quite good on rewatch. And then again, more about the Batman, as in the Robert Pattinson Batman. I think, in my opinion, I like more than any individual film from the Nolan trilogy, but obviously as a trilogy, that's kind of different. I really like the Batman. Other than that, in DC, never been big into it, which is why my takes on this new Superman movie might be interesting, because the only Superman I've seen in live action is Henry Cavill, and he's had a messy bunch of movies that he's been in my opinion anyway. But yeah, also there's the animated stuff, like I mean, it's still Marvel, but like Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse, Into the Spider-Verse being my number one favorite film of all time. Personally, I think it's the best superhero movie, and I think it's just my favorite movie in general.
Forgot about the animated ones, man. Those are great. Those are really good.
Anyway, yeah, that's me. That's me. It's basically that's basically what anyone in my age range who likes movies will probably say. But yeah, that's me.
Good.
Peter, what about you?
Now we know your baseline now.
Yeah.
What about you, Peter?
Well, I'm the old geezer here,
Ah.
so I'm talking back in my day. Superhero movies were really rare, but the ones that really stood out was the original Superman movies. I remember watching those as a kid, and those were, I just remember they were trippy as fuck, man. Like, crazy. Like, they were just wild. But
have you seen those, Sean?
No,
have you seen those?
I was about to say.
Oh, you haven't?
You need
I was
to
about
watch
to
them.
say, but I didn't want to put in, like,
dude.
I see clips of them come up every now and then, and I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah, exactly. You need to watch them. They're great.
I should, especially after. I mean, this is the first time. I mean, spoilers. This is the first time I've liked a Superman movie really strongly. So yeah, Go ahead. Sorry.
So yeah. I don't remember much of 3 and 4. They probably weren't that great, but I think the first two stand out. But also the original Batman movie. That was great. And then, well, the original Batman movie was like with Jack Nicholson as the Joker. I mean,
I've seen that. Well, I haven't seen the film, but I'm familiar.
Yeah, like, just great casting, and it was one of the first superhero movies where, like, they went with the dark theme, because like before then they were all like cheery and happy, and colorful and stuff. This was the first one that really set the tone. Was it Tim Burton who did this one? I don't know.
It was Tim Burton.
Yeah. And having Keaton as Batman, like, again, perfect casting choices. So the way they set it, like, in the dark, gritty, setting, that really set the tone, I think, for a lot of superhero movies going forward. And it kind of got weird from there. Like, Batman 2 was kind of wacky. Still great. Danny DeVito as the Penguin, like, that's great.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. You can't hate that. That was awesome. But like, and the Batmans after that, they just really fell off. I honestly don't even remember much of them. But let me see. Like I said, there weren't that many superhero movies back then. And when there were, they definitely weren't. Like, I remember there was a Thor movie, but it was just like
really bad. It was really bad.
What? I did not know there was a Thor movie like pre MCU.
And there was a Captain America movie too.
I've seen that one. Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't that memorable to me because I literally don't remember much about it. But
have you all seen Batman Forever with Jim Carrey?
No, I haven't.
I may have.
No, I haven't. So. I've seen Batman and Robin though.
I think so.
Goobs. That's your homework, Sean, is you got to go watch the old Superman films, and you got to watch Batman Forever with Jim Carrey. Oh my gosh.
I've seen Batman versus Robin though, the one with the bat nipples. That movie's quite fun.
That and the back credit card, yeah. There's the
back credit card.
They have like the back credit card. Yeah.
DC has a hilarious history, like so iconic.
Yeah.
Peter,
I remember.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I think a lot of modern superhero films owe a lot to Tim Burton without even realizing it. Like, I think Tim Burton really helped bring a different tone to these. Like, without those early Batman films, It'd be very interesting to see what our timeline would look like. What superhero movies would all like? Would they all be hopeful, colorful, flying in the sky outings? Like, I don't know. I think we're very lucky to live in a universe where Tim Burton had a swing at the
because let me tell you, Batman before that was the TV show with Adam West. Yeah, love him, but man, those were cheesy. I remember one of my teachers in elementary school loved that show. So whenever we'd have like we wouldn't have class because whatever happened, and we'd have to go into the rec room and they just throw on a tape. It was either Bill Nye the Science Guy or it was an old episode of Batman.
Goodness me.
And that was my exposure to this year. Even though it came out in like the 70s or something like that. I don't know. I still watched a couple episodes, and I think he had a movie or two that came out. But anyways, yeah, totally set the tone. Same thing with the Christopher Nolan Batman. Like that kind of reiterated that, because superhero movies were kind of getting a bit more fluffier and like one-liner and humorous, like formulaic and stuff, and then that really shook things up. So that's easily one of my favorite ones. Is the second and third of that series. Yeah. I might need to rewatch the first. I know it wasn't received good, but maybe after appreciating the next two, I should probably give it a rewatch. But outside of that, the lead up to Endgame, there's a lot of good ones in there. And then Endgame itself, I thought that was kind of cool how they tied that in. But I hated how like they saw how successful that was, and they're like, let's do it again. And they tried to recreate it with whatever they were doing with like what do they call it, Infinity Universe or whatever?
The multiverse. The multiverse thing, which it was going, and then they stopped it, but now it's kind of going again. Yeah. It's a weird saga.
They repeated a lot of their mistakes with the first one, which is like when they'd have movies and like you have to do homework to understand what was going on. Like, oh, you got to watch this show first and this show, then you can watch this show. It's like, can I just watch this movie and enjoy it? Do I really have to see like a 24 episode TV series to get the context out of it? Like, please.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing that's new for the MCU, especially with like, for example, Falcon and the Winter Soldier being a Disney Plus like 10-episode show, and it's necessary content if you want to watch Brave New World. That's a big example of that.
Yeah, I hated that. That really turned me off. But just in general, they've gotten far more formulaic. Like,
very formulaic.
When I was watching, the build up to Endgame, they kind of you saw it, happening with like the one-liners that they wouldn't really, slip into the scene as much as they just like cram it in your face. Like everyone had a one-liner for every situation. It's like, oh God, come on, And like there wasn't really much serious moments. And some of the movies you can just tell like they didn't have much story, so they just crammed all these CGI in your face and stuff, and it kind of got too much at times.
That's a really big issue with. Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off.
Yeah. Go on.
It's a big issue with like. Have you seen Thor: Love and Thunder?
No.
That movie is like historically what you just said, Peter. The movie itself has like, I want to say like 2 minutes of serious dialogue in it. Like over the whole course of the movie, the entire thing is a joke. Other than, I remember there's 2 scenes. There's like a scene with Jane and Thor, and then there's a scene with Thor and the villain at the end. Those are the only serious moments in the entire film. The rest of the like 2-hour runtime is played for jokes. It's ridiculous. That was the MCU formula pushed to like its absolute max, and it was painful.
If you look up like wasted acting in the dictionary, you should see a picture of Christian Bale in Love and Thunder. Because those 2 minutes are the only.
Wait, he was in Love and Thunder.
He's the villain, and he's
great. It's the only good part of the movie, and he's only in it for 2 minutes, and then they're like back to fart jokes and little kid jokes, and it is insane how bad it is. It's really bad. It's really bad.
Yeah. Glad I missed that one. Glad I missed that one.
Scooped by Love and Thunder. We walked out just like, oh my gosh. I want to ask y'all, did y'all see because I think Peter, you just mentioned like we've seen superhero films kind of go back to being formulaic, and we're kind of like we're getting used to a lot of these same story beats. Did y'all see Spider-Man No Way Home in theaters with yeah?
Yes.
I'm curious because before the movie came out, it was speculated like, oh, are Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire going to pop up in this movie? And they went on record many times publicly and said, nope, we're not in the movie. It sucks. We'd love to be in the movie. They convinced us, and they convinced my theater when we went and saw it opening weekend. And when the scene happens in the movie theater, when Andrew Garfield, they open the portal, Andrew Garfield walks out, our entire theater lost their minds, dude. Our theater, people did cartwheels in the aisles. People started screaming and throwing popcorn. Like,
what?
Everyone was gooped when Andrew Garfield came out of that portal. He was like, "Hey guys, Andrew Garfield here." Everyone was like, "Oh my god!" I mean,
American theaters sound wild. This would never.
I don't remember him saying that line, but no,
no, not like that. Not exactly that line, but our theater was freaking gooped. Oh man, I'm curious. Did y'all have the same reaction in y'all's theaters?
No. The UK theaters are so tame. I watched Endgame.
Wow.
I watched Endgame on midnight release with people dressed as superheroes, and there was no other than I could hear people crying in a scene that we know that you know what I'm talking about. There was lots of sniffling, but there was no.
The Spider-Man?
No, sorry, in Endgame, at the very end when a character dies, there was lots of sniffling, but. I've never been in even then on midnight release. I've never been in a theater with actual celebrations happening. That's never in the UK. I don't think it's culture. Movie. Yeah, I don't think it's culture at all in the UK.
Even in my theater, yep. Right when they popped out, everybody was cheering. They were clapping. They were yelling and screaming, and I was like, "Holy shit, dude!" And it was the kind of stuff where you're like, that's loud. Holy shit! People are just going nuts, and I actually got annoyed by it because it happened, with 2 or 3 times, and then every time it was just like, I'm like, holy shit, man, and I don't know I don't know if you've seen this, Sean, but that's definitely something with American theaters where you'll get to the end of the movie and they'll clap.
No. What the fuck is wrong with you?
I know.
I mean, I respect it though. That's fun. That is fun. I do respect that. I like it. I feel like.
I mean, it's harmless, but it's just like, who are you clapping for?
It's like when the plane lands and people clap.
Yeah, or the Star Wars movies. As soon as LucasArts or the scroll starts, people start cheering. you get that? You see that, Clyde?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely seen that.
Yeah. That's got to happen in every theater. I don't know, but is that something you've seen, Sean?
No, this will make a good clip. UK theaters versus US theaters. No, I've never seen an outward reaction. Other than people being upset in a theater in my entire life, and I've been to a lot of movies.
I like how your story about people is starting a fight with the staff.
Yeah. Basically, these days, I
want to see. There's gotta be I'm really hopeful that someday I will be in a theater, and the crowd will be going crazy for some character doing something crazy, and then the crowd will go from screaming into USA. That is what I'm hoping for. It will be totally random, and I'll be there being like, America. I will be losing my mind with it. Yeah.
There is a funny video
of I bet you it's happened.
There's a funny video of that No Way Home portal scene where it's you see the popcorn and stuff flying everywhere, but it's a dark recording, because the camera is focused on a screen, so everything else is silhouetted because of the exposure. And in the bottom corner, you just see a black silhouette of someone doing a full backflip, but it's very small. It's hilarious.
Doesn't surprise me. Our theater went nuts. Our theater went absolutely ballistic when portals opened in No Way Home. Ballistic.
That's funny.
I heard the same happened in the Minecraft movie.
Oh, fuck off with the Minecraft movie! That chicken jockey shit.
I didn't see the movie, but yeah, God, I've heard of that scene.
That's different though. I feel because they did that because the fact that people having a loud reaction became a meme. If that makes sense. Yeah. Instead of it actually being the scene, the fact that people were going crazy that was the point. It became a thing on TikTok, and everyone just started doing it because it was funny, and it is funny. It's not funny for the cinema workers, but fuck me, those videos are hilarious.
Yeah, like they really went into it, and like you said, like throwing popcorn and shit and being like assholes and
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad.
And-
It is bad. Let's clarify.
yeah,
It
it was
is.
terrible.
Don't do that.
Don't ever do that. Imagine working there on minimum wage.
Oh, jeez. Oof.
But, yeah,
Well,
it's-
now we've established we all love superhero films. We all have a rich history with them to varying degrees. Maybe Sean hasn't chanted USA in the crowd, but that's okay.
Yet.
We all love
It's
superheroes.
UK.
UK.
Yeah, we don't chant that.
Boris Johnson!
Yeah, we don't chant that either.
For the queen, for the queen, for the queen.
Yeah, we also don't chant that because she's fucking dead.
Oh, jeez. I got dark.
Well, I'm sure you don't chant for the king, because
No. We don't chant any bullshit. I mean, we just, no.
No, y'all are respectful over there. Y'all have
We are not
societal
respectful.
norms you adhere to.
Oh my
No,
god. Don't get it fucking twisted. Let's not get into geopolitics. Anyway, what were we saying? Clyde, what were you in the middle of saying?
I was gonna say, now that we have our baselines established, I want to hear y'all's thoughts about Superman. And before I go into my negative Nancying and my nitpickiness, I want to hear what y'all loved about the movie. Because there's some things I loved about the film, and I want to hear what y'all loved about the film.
Can I go first?
Yeah.
I love the movie so much. It was one of the most fun films I've seen in a really long time. Don't get me wrong, right? I also had some flaws with it, and I think that's part of the film's charm, is that it's not perfect, and it's got some really weird stuff in it. But my god, it's such a, how can I describe it in one word? It was such a lovely film. I really liked it. I felt like the actors and the characters were all pleasant. Do you know what I mean? When something just feels pleasant to watch because there's so much charisma on screen and there's so much likability. The movie was just full of that, especially David Cornsweet as Superman. I haven't seen much Superman, as I said, but this is easily my favorite interpretation of the character. And maybe one of my favorite interpretations of a character in superhero media. I think if you envision like a bullet pointed list of Superman features, he embodies all of them. Like, he ticks all of them off 1,000 times over. He's fully Superman. He's the wholesome hero. He's the people's hero. Like, people love him and he loves the people. It's a two-way relationship. He's not some brooding, overpowerful, aura-farming god like Henry Cavill came across sometimes. He's just a nice man with a really nice heart who is a human and has loads of emotions, and he does his best to do nice things all the time. And that's the character. He's not omnipresent, omniscient, everything that I do is correct all the time. He's like, okay, maybe I did this thing one time and it wasn't a great idea, but I did it because I was trying to do the best thing. That's the kind of character he is. And for me, that carried the film. That was part of why I loved it so much. I think him, and as I'll get into later over my notes, kind of the effect that he has, the theme of him having an effect on like every other character in the film, was fantastic. And I think for me, that's just how I'm going to see Superman for the foreseeable future. I don't think it gets much better than that, in my opinion. Obviously, I haven't got into the nitty-gritties of the film, obviously. But yeah, go ahead.
I'm old, Sean. What does aura farming mean? Does that mean he's just like, look, Henry Cavill's God. Like he's like super masculine?
This is
help
not
me understand. Well. Gen Z slang. I don't get it. What is aura farming?
To clarify, I say that ironically. I don't walk around saying shit like this. I do, but I do, but always ironically. So basically, so in terms of like Henry Cavill, he was a character who, in scenes where he could be doing useful stuff, he tries to look cool for the camera instead. That happens like 100 times in Man of Steel. That's basically, it's when someone is looking cool for the shot, basically.
Gotcha. Okay, now I'm on the same page now. Firmware updated. I apologize for my freaking old person question. Okay, I'm good. Peter, what do you think of the movie? Do you like it?
I liked it. It was very entertaining. I mean, kind of one of the tells I can have that I'm enjoying a superhero movie is when I don't ask myself how much longer.
Oh God, I was about to say the same thing. Yeah.
As soon as I ask that question, I'm like, I'm not enjoying this. I know it, because sometimes we're handed slop and we're just so numb afterwards. It's just like, did I even enjoy that? So I can say without question, yeah, it was enjoyable. I liked it. I liked I think from the beginning when I heard that that Gunn wasn't gonna focus on the origin story
Yeah.
because that's been overplayed. I was like, yes, thank you. I hate having like I love the Spider-Man movies, but seeing like seeing him getting bit by a spider every single time, and doing all that crap. It's like we know that, and like so they put it in as exposition because they're kind of forced to, for the 0.1% of the population who doesn't know who Superman is, so even then it felt a little forced, but I mean that's you got to put that
Necessary
in there,
evil.
So it's necessary, and they did have a little twist on it too, with like the message from his parents and stuff like that. That was kind of cool how they worked it into the story that way, and it was great how they put it into like the message itself helped Lex Luthor, because it was it wasn't a lie, it was truth, but it was without context.
It was without context,
and
it also didn't mean
it's
what they think it means. But
yeah, so it was really great how they worked with the story with like social media, and especially the monkeys on
oh, hilarious.
the
Hilarious.
social media. That was great. I love that. Great, awesome. But just the way they're bashing them, and they got their the tinfoil hat people with the conspiracies, and stuff like that. Of course, gotta put that in there. That, and then Eve, taking her selfies and stuff like that was a great. I loved her character, and they made her relevant too. She wasn't just like a bubblehead.
Yeah.
She was part of the story, and her little dynamic with Jimmy was kind of funny and stuff.
It was funny. I like that. He's kind of like he's kind of like the ladies' man inexplicably, like sort of just the girls are into him, even though he's kind of just not interested himself. It's strange, but it was funny. But yeah,
it was great. Nice and awkward and stuff. Let me see my notes here. What was that?
I was gonna say one. I'm sure this has got to be in your notes. It's got to be in all of our notes. The freaking Mr. Terrific fight scene with all the freaking army base guys.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was gonna get to that. That was great, because like we saw the Green Lantern do his stuff, and we saw Hawk Girl do her stuff, and then like he didn't Mr. Terrific didn't have too much to do in many of those previous, but then he had his own little scene there, and he just brought it. That was great. And then from then on, he was like the master of the rest of the plot, like getting all the portals working, and it was great how they worked him in. And his motivation was like, yeah, I just know this because it'll piss off the Green Lantern.
Yeah,
that was a good line.
Yeah, and, I feel like. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, I feel like before we get into the details, we should get Clyde's opinion, which I think I'm fearful of for some reason. But
hold on.
No, don't be. Overall, I liked the movie. I think the movie is a good movie, and even though I have 4 or 5 things that drive me kind of crazy about this film, I wouldn't. I hope people don't interpret that as like, oh, I think this movie is a 4 out of 10 or something like that. No, I just think it holds it back from being a stronger or more focused film. But shout outs to the things that I like, because there are quite a few things in the film I like. I love the depictions of things that we haven't seen in modern superhero films. So like I loved the robot aids around the Fortress of Solitude. I thought they were great. Alan Tudyk did a great job. I loved the depiction of Crypto. I thought Crypto was cute and funny and kind of kept the atmosphere kind of fun and light, and even the ways they worked him into the plot, I thought were pretty interesting. I really like Mr. Terrific. Basically, everything we hadn't seen before going into this movie, like it was a new thing for modern superhero films. I thought they did it awesome. I thought it was like, man, I haven't seen Mr. Terrific done before. This looks amazing. I haven't seen this done before. This is awesome. Where my beef starts, and where I'll get into it later, is some of the things that we have seen before and we've seen them done better. And that's where the film kind of loses me a little bit, and I kind of freak out. But overall, I don't want to give anybody the impression that I hated this movie. I am going to be very critical because I'm freaking nitpicky, but I do really like this movie, and I would never discourage anybody from seeing it because you might feel differently. So yeah, I'm about to turn on my hater mode, but I actually really enjoyed this film. If I was grading it out of 10, I'd probably give it like a 7.5, maybe even an 8. I really like the film. I think it's a strong film. I think it's a great kickoff to the DC universe. And honestly, it's probably worth the ticket price alone just to see Mr. Terrific grab that cool little orb thing and fly over the barrier and like him to destroy everybody. I'm like, that scene alone, I was eating up. I was like, damn, this is really cool. I don't even know who this character is, and this is badass. Like, let's go. Like, that for me alone was worth a ticket price. But yeah, no, overall, I really liked it. So yeah, don't be that afraid, Sean.
Honestly,
I'm not gonna blast it that hard.
Like, I thought at least one of you was gonna either say you didn't like it, or you did, or you were like uninterested. So I was saying it. I've been saying at work all day. Like, I'm prepared to fucking back against the wall 1v2 defend this film.
I'll defend it. Defend it with my life.
Yeah, I was like, I will. Like, I'm not gonna fucking. I'm not gonna bend. Like, I'll just, if I'm 1v2, then I will. But yeah.
Yeah, it was an enjoyable movie.
There are modern MCU films that would be the case. Like Brave New World, I did not like. Black Widow, I did not like. A lot of the MCU TV series, they did not land with me. Superman, there was enough there that I would say landed with me. But I do have some criticisms that I'm curious to dig into with y'all and see if I can change my mind on them.
I think what made it good was it had so much depth, because so many superhero movies are so flat and with two-dimensional characters and stuff. And with the plot, they really went to a lot of gray area, because they usually have the good guys good, bad guys bad. And like they did the thing where they give the villain a motivation that isn't evil, because he's just misinformed about Superman, right? So he is the bad guy. I mean, he is the bad guy, but like he's just trying in his own way to save Earth. It's nothing. I still hate the dude, absolutely hate him, and I think he deserves to have his face bashed in. And he did a good job making him so hateable,
Yeah. Seriously.
But the like I said, the depth of the story, the way that Superman was controversial, he just goes around saving people, and like that's controversial, and like he literally stopped a war, and people were like, well. It's not so easy. And there's like, there's a lot of conflict between did he really help, and the incident was kind of vague enough to like, you didn't know enough details about it to that as it slowly comes out, you see that there's a lot of different motivations between the sides and stuff, and there's a lot of gray area between, is he really helping? Is he some all-powerful being? Does he really have the Earth, in his best favor? Is he favoring countries? Like, it was great. Like, I think the interview between him and Lois really underlines that.
That was one of my favorite scenes in the whole film, and it's like right at the beginning as well. It tells you everything you need to know about both people. Right.
And they don't have an argument about, their relationship or something. They're literally talking about ethics and, like stuff like that. And that was great. Like you said, it set up the characters, who they were. It gave exposition about the story, and it just made it more in depth and a lot more, thought provoking than just Superman good, bad guys bad, go Superman smash bad guys.
Yeah.
So
also, we got some fire memes out of this movie. I don't know if y'all have seen on Reddit. I have seen people like being like spamming like, dude's more malding than Lex Luthor. 1A, 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 1A. I've seen that as a Reddit comment.
And I also I frequently see the meme of Superman in the chair at the end like this. That's one of my favorite memes, because you can apply that to anything. You can apply that meme to fucking anything. It's hilarious.
Yeah, and the acting. I want to last positive I want to give out, at least from my end. I want to say the acting was great. Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor did an amazing job.
Oh, I'm such a good Lex. Such a good Lex.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the acting in the film. I cannot. Even though there are things I don't like about the writing, the acting I thought across the board was really fun and really interesting. And I'm also just I thought it was great. I thought overall I was very, very happy with it. So that's me. That was my review. I'm curious, what would y'all, do y'all grade films in your head? Do you like go, that's a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 or no?
That's too difficult for me to do. It's so
I'm
hard.
terrible at grading. Yeah, because there's so much gradients to it, and you're like,
and there's so many different types of films.
Or is it just 4? And it's like,
I do that all the time.
It's like I enjoyed it a lot, or I enjoyed it a little, or I was just okay with it, or
Yeah, it's
I don't
difficult.
wanna.
It's
no.
difficult. I
Did
don't
I
think I could
freeze?
do that. Oh, he froze. No.
Oh,
That was a
Clyde,
good.
Am I back?
no.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
back.
no.
He's back. He's back.
No.
Lex Luthor took him down because he was slandering.
Yeah, I am one of those people that does add a score though. I'm like, that was a 5 out of 10. That
Okay,
wasn't a 7.
what's the score
I
then?
am guilty like that. I said 7
Oh,
5 7
sorry,
5
sorry,
or 8.
sorry.
I
No.
liked it. I thought it was
Yeah,
I thought it was a really good
that's
film.
high.
And
That's
I
high.
really enjoyed it. And I would not discourage anyone from seeing it.
Mhm.
Yeah. So yeah, that is my public official stance before I start blasting it.
All right. Well, if I don't mind, I go like down kind of points on my notes. Like, what did you two think of this interpretation of Superman in general?
I liked it. I liked it.
Yeah, Clyde.
It felt more human, you know.
That's what I liked.
Like you were talking about with Henry Cavill. Like he kind of seemed like a bit, you know, like a super being, you know,
Very
kind of
super. Yeah.
not, yeah, kind of, you know, high and mighty and stuff. Like this guy really, it just felt like a guy in a Superman outfit, you know. Like I loved how down to earth he felt,
Yeah.
and yeah, just the general vibe of the movie, which, you know, had, like I said, it actually had a story to work around, as opposed to just finding ways to include scenes with smashing stuff, right?
I I liked the presentation of it. I think the outfit was awesome. I think the acting was awesome. I personally didn't connect with this Superman as much as I wanted to, and there's a reason for that in my mind, which is that he doesn't change by the end of the movie. It doesn't feel like this Superman learns or grows or becomes a new character by the end of the movie. When I think back on the superhero films that connect with me the most, like the Tobey Maguires, the Miles Moraleses from, Into the Spider-Verse, those characters start the movie in one place and they end the movie having learned a very valuable, very painful lesson oftentimes, and they are a new character by the end of the movie. Peter Parker Tobey Maguire has to give up. He loves Mary Jane at the start of the movie, but he learns this valuable lesson by the end of the movie. If I want to keep her safe, I can't be with her. He learns this valuable lesson. I didn't feel like this Superman grew or changed in any meaningful way in this movie. And that's not me saying he's a terrible character. It's just he didn't go on a hero's journey in this movie. And that's one thing that's not one of my four like big criticisms, but when we're talking about like how did the Superman land with me or not land with me, I think that would have helped me a lot if he had changed or grown in some meaningful capacity. He definitely learned things. He definitely learned things about his Kryptonian parents, but did he himself change? I don't know.
No, I think you're right. I don't.
No, he didn't. Yeah,
No, I don't think
I have
he
2
did.
points against that though, because
Yeah, I have points against that as well. But yeah, go.
Yeah, my first point would be
Clyde.
not all stories have the main character, you know, grow in some way. Sometimes we're just seeing a story that he's in, and things happen around them, and it's not a much a story about someone learning about themselves as much as it's telling us a story, you know, that we can learn about ourselves, you know, or something, you know, like there's a lot of different ways that you can get around that. So I don't see it as much as, and I know you're not saying it's a requirement, but I don't see it as a big of an issue. But even without that, my second point would be, I feel like it wasn't Superman who needed to change. I feel like it was everyone else around them.
Oh shit, Peter, we are so aligned right now. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, we're in tune. Yeah. Like at the beginning of the movie, nobody understands Superman. They all kind of hate him. There's a bunch of controversy, and then by the end of the movie, they love him again. They know why they're here. They know that video was bullshit and that he's got, you know. So like the people of Metropolis grew by the end of the movie.
I'm going to challenge that so hard. I'm going to fight you on this, but this is one of my four big ones, and I don't want to start here. I want to stay on Superman for now. But I want to challenge that idea, but we'll get to it later. But I agree. I do agree with you. Not every superhero film has to have the character change, which is why it's not one of my big four criticisms. I completely agree. It's totally okay for him to start the film as a noble heroic character and end the film, you know, with that same exact outlook disposition. That's totally okay. I completely agree. And I think for me, superhero movies, I do connect with Iron Man more if by the end of Iron Man 1, you know, right when RDJ steps up to the podium, he has to make this really tough decision to reveal to him the world that I am Iron Man. That makes me like him more. That makes me, you know, appreciate kind of connect with him more. Sean, do you have something you want to say?
No, sorry, I was just I was just miming
Oh, were you-
nonsense. I was miming.
Oh,
I
you were
Am Iron
miming.
Man.
I was like, dang, Sean really wants to get in a
No,
point here. I thought you were
would
like
not,
over here.
nah,
Like,
I would not do that. No.
Okay,
I mean,
But yeah.
while I'm here, like I respect that take, but again, I think like Peter already said it. Kind of, I think this movie was about how everyone who's so focused on looking at like consequences and like what's gonna happen if we do this, what's gonna happen if we do this, what's the consequence of this, like is helping people always a good idea? And Superman is this guy who's like, no, I don't care what any of you say, helping people and saving people is always the best idea. And throughout the film, he
100%.
he changes the entire rest of the cast, including Lois. And then at the very end, because of him, they go to, is it Jarhampa? What's the name of the country? Because of him, the Justice Gang go to the foreign country and save them. If it wasn't for Superman being the way he was, they wouldn't have done that. So it was a change.
They go to not Ukraine.
They go to not Palestine.
Not Ukraine.
No, let's nah, fuck that.
That was totally a reference to the Ukraine war.
I think it's closer to. Is it not closer to? Oh no, I guess it is. I was thinking Palestine, but no, it works.
It felt
for both.
very Russia Ukraine coded to me, but that was my thought.
It could. I mean, yeah, it could. I mean, well, without getting into geopolitics,
yeah, no.
I mean, yeah.
Let's
I could kind of see it like that, but.
I was just saying. I think Superman being like people literally accusing Superman of being naive, but then by the end of the movie, you kind of realize he wasn't really being naive this whole time. We were maybe being a little bit too critical, assuming that he was doing something wrong when he wasn't. That's how I took it. But yeah, that's valid, Clyde. That's valid.
No, and it's totally. It's like Peter said. It's totally okay for a film not to have like the hero's journey. Some of my favorite films are like that, like some of my favorite films don't feature a hero's journey, but I noticed that that's something that is in a lot of superhero films and I do connect with, but that it wasn't here or there, but still didn't super harm my interpretation of the character. But yeah, I like Superman's characterization. I love seeing run around Crypto. Love seeing his interactions with other characters in the world. Loved the scenes with him and Lois. Yeah, I mean, overall, I was really happy with Superman's presentation.
Oh, good. I love it so much. Every scene where he saved someone and just that natural smile on his face, the natural joy that he had when he saved a fucking squirrel. A squirrel and like many civilians as well. I was like, this is an actual superhero. Like, not dark, brooding, more like the omniscient gods. I say that as I'm obviously being hyperbolic. I know Henry Cavill's character was heroic. I'm being hyperbolic, but you know what I mean. So just that scene where the monster like breathes fire into the offices and he turns around, he's genuinely concerned. He's like, "Are you guys okay?" And the woman looks at him like, "Yes," and he just gives this like this nice little smile. I was like, "That was cool. That's cool." He's not trying. He's not trying to be too much. He's just genuinely concerned if people are okay because he's a nice guy. Every scene that was like that was 10 out of 10, and I wish there was more of that in the film, which was one of my criticisms actually. I think the film didn't have enough of him like saving people. There was a few really good scenes of it, but I wanted more. I wanted more of it. I wanted it to be like, I wanted that to be the whole film, and it wasn't, which is okay, I guess. But yeah. Anyway, yeah. Let's move on.
At least he wasn't aura farming, Sean.
At least he wasn't. At least he wasn't like that scene that's getting thrown around of Henry Cavill standing in the courtroom as it explodes. And instead of like going to check, obviously because he's invincible, so he doesn't die. The room that explodes around him. Instead of like flying around to check if there's any 3rd-degree burn victims, he just kind of does this and looks really depressed. And that's the whole scene. That's been used as like a comparison. It's that cut with current Superman saving the squirrel as comparison.
That's funny. That's actually
anyway, yeah.
Funny.
They did a good job with that. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think that was one of the most important things to hit as well, and it was there. So I was very satisfied immediately with that. Crypto. Thoughts on Crypto? Not exactly a complicated character.
It was the comedy relief, the comic relief of the movie, most of the time. And he just come in and he just wreak havoc. And I like how a lot of it was relatable, like where he'd just jump on your lap and he'd be like, God, I got it. Just I'll work around it.
If you ever had a poorly behaved dog before, that was very relatable. like very relatable.
Yeah. I haven't had a dog for a long time, but even I can tell like a lot of that stuff. People were just like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
And when he fetches the ball, so to say, and stuff like that.
That's a great scene.
I think it was, I think it was really cool how they used him in the movie,
Yeah.
and obviously, he's a real out of hand, But that was great the way they put a bow on it at the end when Supergirl comes back.
Yeah.
And then he's just like roughhousing with her, and she's just like and like the robots like that's not healthy.
And that adds context as well to like why they're both like this.
That was great. They explained why, and like they introduced the character, and like that was really cool how they did that.
Also, it also helps explain why Superman was so determined to get. I mean, he would anyway, but why he was so determined to rescue Krypto was like it's not it's not actually his dog. It's Kara's, and maybe he has like a little bit of guilt about losing like Kara's dog since he's kind of fostering it. So yeah, that was a little added detail. I to be honest, in the first like 5 minutes of the movie, I was a little bit worried that I was going to find Krypto really annoying. I was like, I was like, is he going to be biting and scratching for the whole film?
Yeah, I was thinking they were going to try and make him like super cutesy and like oh my god, we're going to sell so many toys of him. He's going to be like the baby Yoda of Superman or something. But it was pretty cool how they put him in there. He got into some fights, he had some hijinks, and got to save him and stuff. And
yeah,
and he was in the film a lot more than I thought he'd be. But
yeah,
I can't complain about it. That was cool. I liked it.
He landed with our theater for sure. There was multiple scenes where the theater went, "Aww," like he would like lick somebody's face, and the whole theater would go, "Oh," and be like, "Fine, I'll buy your plushie, damn you!" Like,
huh?
Oh, there's a lovely scene where they're in the parents' house, which is also a whole part of the film that I love. But where Clark wakes up with Krypto like on his chest. That was lovely. That was like the one time in the film where Krypto's a calm boy.
I loved the scene in the credits where like they do the credit scene. And it's not like, oh, look, who's this mystery hero we're going to introduce next film? It was just Superman chilling on the moon with the dog, just looking at Earth.
Yeah.
And it was like, that was so cool.
Yeah, lovely scene. Guy Gardner and the Justice Gang. This was a strange one. I had and have mixed feelings on this. I feel like Clyde probably does as well. Just guessing.
Extremely. And it is part of one of my core criticisms. So I'll save it when I get to my nitpick list. Or if you want to hit it now, we can.
Do you mind hitting it now? But we'll kind of just go around like as we have been.
Oh yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
You want to start?
This is a big one, so I apologize. It's going to encompass more than just Guy Gardner and
that's fine.
The Justice Society. Is that their name? Justice Society?
Justice Gang.
What's their name? Justice Gang. Okay. So quick context, going into this movie, the reviews were glowing and everyone was saying, this is a movie about hope. This is a movie about hope. That was the word that everyone was using to describe the Superman movie. And when we watched it, and when we sat down to watch it, I actually found that the prevailing emotion I was seeing in most scenes was not one of hope, but really one of apathy. It is one of indifference to bad things happening. And this ties into Justice Gang, but basically, the very first scene with Lois and Clark, Lois is grilling Clark about, stopping tanks from running over children. And he's like, but they were about to run over kids. And she's very apathetic to this. Like, well, yeah, but you got to go through the right protocol. She's apathetic to his inserting himself in the conflict. The scenes that followed were involved like giant monsters attacking the city, and the citizens of Metropolis are so apathetic they don't even care to stop drinking their Starbucks coffee. They're just sitting in the Starbucks cup while giant monsters attack the city. They are indifferent to the conflict. And when Superman eventually gets kidnapped, Lois goes to the Justice Society and asks them, or Justice Gang, and says, "Hey, I need your help to save Superman." And they all just kind of go, not our problem. They're apathetic. I felt like in every scene where I really wanted the characters to care, there were a lot of characters that weren't caring, and they were either playing it for laughs or they were playing it for like, look how desensitized the society is. But that was the core theme I got. And basically every scene throughout almost this entire film is just I kept seeing characters that I wanted to care that just did not care. And no character represents this more than Guy Gardner. Guy Gardner really drives this point home of just like, we should care. The world should care, and he did not care, and that really bugged me. Yeah, even when like another example of this, even when like she goes to the Justice Gang and she says, "Hey, Superman's been captured. I need your help," and they're all just like, not our problem." She walks out of the building, and Mr. Terrific runs out, and she says, "Oh my gosh, you care? You're gonna help me?" And he goes, "Oh no, I don't really care. I just want to prove Green Lantern, or I just want to upset Green Lantern."
Yeah.
Even he is not doing it for the right reasons in that moment, and it's played off for laughs, but it just kind of bugged me that at every freaking scene I was like, does nobody freaking care here? That was something that I felt like is I went in expecting hope and I just got hit with apathy over and over again. And I might have misinterpreted a lot of these scenes. I think I probably have, but it just felt like that was the emotion that I just kept getting blasted with over and over again. So sorry, that was a lot. That was a lot of me ranting.
No, that's
of
all. I
like
feel like
that was good stuff.
I feel like that's what they wanted. I
Mhm.
feel like that was the point.
By design.
I feel like that's the whole reason. But we saw the scene where the monster was, the big fast growing monster was stomping around Metropolis.
Great scene, by
and
the way.
we literally see someone like eating soup or drinking or whatever the fuck. Like that's the whole reason they showed that is because some people just literally don't care and like I feel like that was completely on purpose. And they're trying to show, not just that it's a complex subject, but just that that's something that you see a lot in reality too. We're seeing a lot of this with, and I don't want to mention specific events, but there's a lot of apathy toward things that we should really be deeply concerned about.
I really get this in current events massively. It's something that deeply concerns me, and I'm glad the film addressed it.
Especially with feeling. I feel numb sometimes when I hear a story about something that I've heard over and over again. Like, and I almost don't feel shocked or surprised. Like something that I'm sure either side of the aisle won't have a problem with is things like school shootings. Absolutely horrible. But like we've come to a point here in America where you read a story about a school shooting and it's like there's another one, and and you kind of see yourself from a third person, be like, why aren't I shocked or aghast? It's weird, and it's not just that topic. There's a lot of different things like.
Can I add to that a little bit? Like, I think this is really relevant with the current geopolitical events that I don't really want to get too specifically into, but what I see happen like on a daily basis is you'll hear about a huge tragedy, loss of life, loss of an innocent life, and then like in the discourse around it, like in comments, they'll be like, "Oh, but they did this first, and they did this first," or like, "Oh, but then what about going back to this and going back to that?" And I'm like, at what point did we stop caring about the people dying, which is literally Superman's point in this film? That's Superman's exact stance in this film, and I like how that tied into reality.
Yeah, I think that's what. Just let me finish real fast. I think that's what underlines Superman's, like you said, just this constant vigilance of being who he is that everyone around him has apathy, and he's the one who cares.
And it's great. That's a really great point. Both y'all. And also, I just want to say thank you to both of y'all for letting me finish my unhinged rant without interrupting me and being like, "You dumbass Clyde, get out of here!" Like that is really respectful of y'all, and I really appreciate that. I just want to shout out for bro ships. Anyways,
I was completely down. I was down to like be debating this whole time. I love it. I love getting into it. It's a movie. It's never going to be like it's never going to get bad. It's just a fucking movie.
Yeah, the more you have to say, the better. I mean,
exactly.
The opposite would be, you just give like a couple of words answer, like that didn't feel right.
Or you could just agree with everything, which would be even worse.
Be as verbose as you can.
Yeah.
We need the content.
Yeah,
I think it's great. We need to find the content. No, I think you're right. I think it is a great mirror for a lot of the problems we face as a country, in the United States and globally. There's a lot of issues here, but for me, the film, because we're talking about Guy Gardner and we're talking about the Justice Gang, I don't feel like the movie does enough to earn them changing. Like I don't feel like by the end of the movie they go and they do save not Ukraine or Yarhenberg, but I don't feel like that. I really wanted just a scene where they tell Superman, we screwed up. We're sorry. Like, we really should have been there for you, and we weren't there for you, bro. Like, even when they show up to Yarhenberg and they do the giant green middle fingers, and that's fun. It's a fun save sequence. I don't even feel like they're there because they realize they screwed up. They're just kind of there because they're seeing a crazy crisis happen, and they just decide, let's just go there and stop this crazy crisis. And I don't feel the apology. I don't feel them changing as much as I want them to. I'm not saying it's totally on there. I mean, obviously they go and they still do save the day, but I just really wanted a scene at the end of that storyline where they go, we screwed up. We should have absolutely been there for you. And maybe that's too much to expect. Maybe that's like, maybe I wanted it too on the nose. Like, that's probably me like wanting Tobey Maguire kissing Mary Jane, being like, that's all I have to give. And he walks off like dramatically. Maybe that's what I was looking for. But I felt like that was an incomplete circle to me. That's why I felt so unsatisfied.
That point that you just made, I think you're correct. I don't think, like you said, I think them having a scene where they apologize might not be in character for Guy Gardner, but I do think there's a line somewhere, and maybe they were just a bit too late. You know, when they went to John, I can't remember. I'm gonna stop trying to remember the name until I Google it. But that when they go there, it's like, you know, it's the very end of the movie, and you know, maybe there wasn't a lot of expression of their change. I think I do think I think you're correct on that point. I think their change was not expressed as well as it could have been, but I do think it was there. Like, I think it was there, and I understood it, and I think it was clear. But yeah, it probably could have been more. I think that's a completely fair criticism. I mean, there's a lot in regards to them that's kind of... I mean, there's a lot in regards to this whole movie that's kind of going halfway. That happens quite a lot sometimes in this film.
Yeah, I mean, I agree and I disagree. I agree that it felt really sudden. That it's just like, wow, Lex Luthor's a piece of shit. Superman, you're cool. You know,
that was weird. That weird.
Really was fast. I feel like they could have done something a bit more. But on the other hand, I felt like it kind of subjugates your expectations, because, like you said, you're expecting this scene of, like, you know, the people slowly realize and stuff like that. So, like, I could see how, you know, they're just trying to skip that, you know.
I think that's true as well.
Just because that is and you do see that in a lot of movies, like the scene where people kind of come around and you're like, you know, when I first saw you, blah blah, but now after I've seen blah blah, you know, you're not so bad after all, you know, and
no,
some,
I don't.
So I know what you mean by, like, you definitely wanted more closure as far as that, but I think I could see how part of it was they were just going to be like, yeah, by the way, he's good now. Anyways, on with the story. So.
And I will say, it's a 2-hour movie. This is not a 6-hour series. This is like this is a tight 2-hour movie, and they didn't have the time. So I don't fault it crazily.
I could definitely see that too. I could definitely see him as having actually made that scene, but then, like, at the end of the movie, they're like, we got to cut something. It's like, let's cut the, you know, people realize he's not bad, because, like, you know, people understand.
It doesn't,
you know,
actually add that much. That, like, if that was a scene and they removed it, I'd like. Yeah, I remember thinking that live in the cinema, in the theater. I was like, people in real life don't change their mind that quickly on, like, social media events.
They change their minds so fast in this movie.
Yeah, they literally pull a complete 180. Like everyone. It was strange, but I was like, do I really care? Not really. I guess I get the point. Like, I get the point. It didn't have to be realistic. I guess it's fine.
Right. Yeah. It's such a small thing that, you know. Yeah. I do agree it is awkward, but at the same time, it's just kind of like, anyways, whatever.
And the part of it that I think makes this feel so yucky to me at this point is that Superman is presented so well in this film. He is such a noble character. You know, we, the three of us know, without even a moment's hesitation, if Guy Gardner was kidnapped somewhere, Superman would go save his ass. He wouldn't need cajoling to go save him. This Superman is a good guy. He is a pure guy. He would go without reservation. But that is incongruent to Guy Gardner and the Justice Gang. They don't care that Superman's been locked up. They're just like, we're gonna keep, like, workshopping our name here, and good luck, Lois. Go get him, girl. Like they just don't care. And it's like, I felt that incongruency makes me feel even more yucky. I'm like, dude, Superman would totally be there day .1 to save your ass, but you won't even get off the couch to go save him, bro. And you can't even say sorry at the end of the movie. Gosh, freaking darn it, Guy Gardner. But I do love making.
I think that's part of the apathy thing. And if I point out Guy Gardner, I don't remember well, but I know he turns out to be like a pretty shitty character at some
Oh,
point.
does he? Oh shit! Then maybe it's like perfect.
I don't remember the time. I just remember like as a Green Lantern, he eventually gets into some shit. You know?
I'm
So,
only vaguely aware of the character.
There they may be foreshadowing. I may be talking. Maybe I'm misremembering, but they could be something like that, which is why they gave him such a douchey haircut too. You know,
The haircut
So,
is comic accurate. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it could. Oh, it's comic accurate. Oh,
Yeah, it's
ouch.
a comic accurate. I mean, that's James
but-
Gunn's
but
whole
yeah.
thing. James Gunn is comic accurate to a T, like to a fault.
I love it.
It's amazing
great.
because people would argue
yeah,
like, oh, like, you know, you can't translate comics completely into a movie. You have to make it a bit darker. You have to make it more realistic. No, James Gunn always, like, look at Guardians of the Galaxy. James Gunn's been doing this the whole time. That's like his trick. Make everything 100% comic accurate, and it just works.
It's great. I appreciate it because, you know, as we've seen from Game of Thrones, the second you stray from the source material, things just plummet.
God.
You know?
God. Well. But yeah.
So yeah. Oh, Clyde, you were working up a storm about how you had some pretty harsh criticisms for this. So let's hear it.
I do. That was my first. That was my first one. Was just this idea that it was hope at the heart of it all, but I just kept getting hit with apathy. But following Sean's like moving through the characters, we talk about Superman, we talk about Guy Gardner. I would love to turn our attention to Lois Lane. Actually, if that's okay
that was next on my list. Well, that was. I've kind of been dotting around the list, but she was next. Yeah.
Okay, I want to say like this concept of like unclosed loops really embodies how I feel about Lois Lane. The very first scene we have in the movie with Lois and Clark is, in my opinion, a ridiculous conversation. It is a ridiculous interview conversation where she is interviewing him and she's like, "So why did you stop the tanks from running over the children?" And he's like, "Well, that's like my job. I do that. I stop tanks from running over children." She's like, "But did you get the president's approval? Did you talk to the Secretary of Defense first?" And he's like, "No, I was stopping tanks from running over children, Lois." This to me was an absolutely ridiculous conversation. It really rubbed me the wrong way because it's like I don't know anyone on the planet that would be like, "Dang man, you really should have talked to the president. You should just let some kids get run over first." It just felt so ridiculous to me. It felt like a fight that is just like, dang Lois, do you just want to fight for the sake of fighting? Because that like he is doing objectively a good thing. Stopping one country from invading another country is just objectively a good thing. And it rubbed me the wrong way that Lois grilled him so much about that. And I was thinking in that moment, like I was like, man, it is a good thing I'm not Superman, because if I was Superman, I would slap Lois so hard she'd fly out the window. Like I would be like, I can't
domestic
handle
abuse
this
Superman.
I cannot.
Oh
I'm not. Yeah, I
Clip that out of context, please.
Oh no! Oh no! Clyde, hashtag cancel Clyde. Like
I got a shorts idea for you, Sean.
Oh,
This is a fucking cut episode of The Boys.
Yeah, like I mean, that's how I felt about a lot of the characters in the film. Is like like Superman should slap Guy Gardner. He should slap the.
Oh my god! Your Superman sounds like Homelander.
He should go. He should a little bit of Homelander, but
sounds like
I hate. Yeah, but I really hated that he couldn't, that she wouldn't see that perspective from any other way other than just geopolitical conflict. And there's like, I don't get me wrong, I understand being the press, and being the press is one responsibility, but the press also are human beings, and they also have brains. And I don't think there's any journalist in America who would be like, "Bro, you shouldn't have stopped those tanks, man. Should have let them run over some kitties." Like, that just seems ridiculous to me. I also really hate that they don't close the loop on this conversation. This is the first conversation Clark and Lois have in the movie. And it bugs the heck out of me that they have the course of this film, and they have Lois like discover bad things about Lex's plot and Yarhenberg, and she like uncovers these plot things. But I really wanted a scene where she signifies her change to Clark, going, "Wow, I really should have just been on board with you saving those kids, man." Like I don't know, like they have the scene where they kiss and they float up in the air and it's all like beautiful and and it's like it's a beautiful scene and I love that. But I wanted a scene where she's like, "Damn, I was wrong here. Like clearly I misread the situation, and I really should have trusted you on this. I will not grill you about stopping tanks from running over children again." That was the scene I wanted, and then we didn't have that. And maybe they hit the cutting room floor as well. But yes, if you are going to clip me, Sean, if you are going to clip me, I do not condone domestic violence. I'm so sorry. Please don't cancel me. I need this. I need this. But no. But yeah.
He already has an apology video. I mean,
I've already got my
this guy-
apology. I'm scripting it right now. But like, I don't. But that is the level of frustration I had. Is I was incredulous in that moment of her actually trying to play devil's advocate of being like, well, maybe you should talk to the president first. I was just like, I was gooped. I was absolutely gooped in that moment. I'm curious to hear y'all's thoughts on this.
I'm gonna push back a little bit. I'm gonna defend Lois Lane a little bit, because you keep mentioning like the running over kids and the attacking people and stuff like that, but I'm trying to think about being the devil's advocate that she is. That's one of her biggest like character traits in this film. What does Lois Lane actually know about this Israel-Palestine motherfucking conflict? Right? The actual story that's being pushed in the media is that Moravia, which is like the Israel stand-in, believes that they are liberating the smaller country, the other country, and they believe that they are going to make their lives better by going in, which is also
what Russia said they were
also
doing.
what Russia said. I'm working off the fact that Lois, I mean, there's a line in that scene we're thinking about where Lois says that, and Superman goes, "Do you really believe that?" And then she doesn't answer, which kind of implies that she doesn't believe that. But anyway, my point is, like, we know because of our context from seeing the film that the Moravian invasion of Jarhampa is just a slaughter. But Lois, although she's smart enough to maybe reason that that's a good possibility, Lois doesn't actually know that that's what's happening. So I still agree with you, Clyde, that Superman is obviously right in this scene, and I think that point is proven. I think that's the whole point of the film. I think the film proves that Superman is right in this first scene, but also because of Lois's character being that she's such a dedicated journalist and that she's kind of like the heads to Clark's tail in the relationship, if that makes sense. He's the naive nice guy. She's the brutal realist. That's like that's her whole character. And I think she's playing
really
that
establishes that.
Yeah, I think she's playing that really well, and I think that's the only reason she's acting like this. I don't think she knows that tanks were going to go and kill innocents, but I think she knows there was a chance, and that's all her point is in this scene. But like I said, I still think you're right, Clyde. I think Lois is maybe not taking the intelligent take there, but it makes sense. I do think that kind of works. Yeah, go ahead.
I want to hear your thoughts, Peter. But let me quickly rebuttal this.
Yep.
Does that not then communicate that she trusts Clark so little that she's still going to grill him? Like, he's sitting there in the room telling her, like, looking her in the eyes saying, they had tanks and they were about to run over kids, and she's still grilling him. That to me communicates that she's just like, I don't trust you, bro. Like, I don't know, man. Like, that's pretty weird. That's hella sus to me. It's like, I felt yucky about that entire scene. But Peter, let me hear your thoughts. I want to hear it.
I see it in a completely different light. There were some questions she asked which were pretty, like did you get the president's permission, like stuff like that. That's kind of like whatever, he's not, but I think overall, and I kind of had to explain this to myself in my head when it was happening, and it made more sense. It wasn't Lois interviewing Superman as his girlfriend. It was Lois interviewing Superman as a reporter. And one of her big points was that she had brought it up with Superman, how did he know, how would you know to ask this, and how would he know to say this, and like she kind of took that on, like how would she have known this stuff from Superman? What would she have asked if she was just a reporter who had no idea what was going on? So she asked these very ignorant questions, and she asked some that are just like, kind of unbiased and just like, well, why would you? And she added some that had like a really big slant onto her, but it seemed like complete reporter mode. They don't care about, like the emotions of the person they're interviewing. They want to get headlines. They want to get quotes. They want to catch them in a corner crying. Like they just want to go after whatever draws blood. And I think part of it was just showing. Yeah. I think part of it was a critique of media itself and just how ruthless some of these reporters are when they're just grilling with these questions that are like, are you even thinking about what you're asking? And
yeah,
so
there's a good point there.
Yeah, and
I
her
will
going
say,
reporter mode. Yeah, it was showing her character, and at the same and her seriousness with the topic, and at the same time, it was kind of going over the top and like almost a parody. I'd
yeah,
say.
I actually that's a great point, and I'm replaying this scene in my mind while you were saying that, Peter, and I think there was a good point that I hadn't considered before, which is that Clark's responses are very flippant in that moment, and I hadn't thought about that, but he's very flippantly being like, "Yeah, I just had to stop some tanks." He is not doing a good job of explaining himself. He's not doing
Yeah.
a good job of explaining why he needed to intervene and why
Mm.
he knew with confidence that they were innocent children. That is an interesting point that I hadn't thought about before, and uh, there is something interesting. There's an interesting thread there. I don't know. I felt like Lois as a character was defined by this first conversation. The movie defined her around this first conversation, and it
Mm.
didn't give me a good feeling with her. I didn't like how this conversation went. I didn't like how black and white she saw everything, and I didn't like how much trust or lack of trust she had for Superman in that film. It felt very like it felt like she didn't know his character, and like with Guy Gardner and with
Exactly.
yeah,
That's just it.
yeah,
Like that's that. I think that was the purpose of it.
yeah,
The reason that explains the reason Superman was so flippant, and the reason that
yeah,
she was so ignorant is because Superman was having a conversation with his girlfriend, and Lois was having an interview with Superman. They were
yeah,
on two totally different planes. So,
yeah,
Superman, he's getting hit with these questions from this woman that he loves, and he's just caught off guard. And like you said, he doesn't even have a response to it. He's very
yeah,
emotional. And Lois, at the same time, she's just giving an interview where she just runs down a list of questions, ba 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 ba, doesn't even think about the answers. Just waits for the reply, hits the next question. She's just gone full business mode, and
yeah,
like just the way they clash like that, it kind of
yeah,
shows more so than defining the characters. Even though it just goes to show how like he is just doing because that's what he does, and the news has is trying to get all these different angles, and it's trying to catch him slipping, and it's got all these really strange takes that it's throwing at him, and he's just caught completely off guard because it's like what the fuck, why are you even asking that, what the hell?
yeah.
And like
It does.
we see that
I'm
we see that
curious,
in the news a lot.
Yeah.
Peter. I'm curious. I want to pick your brain. Do you think that her questions imply that's how she feels, though? I mean, because that's how
No,
I read that scene. Is
no,
like
mm-mm,
she's asking these questions of like,
no.
why didn't you? So you to in your mind, she that is totally divorced. Like Lois
No.
is super team Superman in that scene, but she's also asking ridiculous questions like, why didn't you talk to the president first? You think those are totally divorced things?
I feel like there was a little bit of her in the scene, but I think most of it was just hard hitting questions because she was, and it even I think it even alluded to this in the build up to the scene where like
Mm,
you'd let me interview Superman. He's like, yeah, and then she goes like interview, and he's like, yeah, like not knowing what was in store, but she was totally like, I'm gonna interview him, and like she just drops the whole, she's able to drop their relationship and just go full
mm.
business mode, and Superman can't. And like
Yeah, I read that scene so differently. I read it
yeah,
so differently. I yeah.
yeah, and so I think that explains that like she's acting. She's not, like I said, she's not Lois the girlfriend, and she's Lois the reporter. So she's acting like a reporter would, and like she's trying. So she's
Mm. I need
so
to watch
therefore
that scene again. Yeah,
it's not her real character. Like she's trying
gotcha,
to act like she doesn't know Superman. So she's got to
gotcha.
act like she's got to hit him like this, like she's not caring that she's hurting his feelings with these questions and stuff. And she's
Yeah.
not doing it personally. It's like it's just
Mm.
business. But like
You might
Superman, like
yeah.
he's taking it personally. So
Mhm.
I think it's a dynamic that it's. I mean, yeah, it's kind of, it doesn't come off as cleanly as it should, but I saw it. It took me a while, but I saw it, and I really
Mm.
appreciated it that they had that because it added more context to a lot of
Mm.
that stuff. Just her questions, they added context to like why it was such controversy, and
Mm.
the way people saw it was the way she was asking the questions, because like this is how a reporter would ask you these questions if she was reporting you. This isn't Lois
Yeah.
Lane talking to you. This is, heartless reporter 239, from Fox News, just
Gotcha.
like I said, going down the bullet points, So
Yeah,
I totally saw it in
interpreted-
a different light.
Yeah, I was the other way. I felt
Mm.
the exact same as Superman felt in that scene, which is like when she asks him, "Why didn't you talk to the president first?" He's like he's in disbelief. He's like, "What do you mean?"
That line, I hated that line so much because it's like
Okay.
he's not a
Okay, I'm glad we're
citizen
on the
of
same page
America.
about that line at least. Yeah.
He is Superman. He's a citizen of the Earth.
Yeah.
I felt like some of those like that, but like that was me on Superman's side on that. But like on the
Okay.
other hand, I feel like that was completely something in line with what an American reporter would say. Like,
That's
oh,
fair.
did you talk
That is
to
fair.
Congress? So like
Yeah.
I saw it both ways like that. And
Yeah.
and so
it's
that
not even that
Yeah,
she was
yeah.
being a reporter in that moment. It's that I felt the exact same thing as Superman, which is that you can see the hurt in his eyes when she says, "Why didn't you talk to the president first?" He's like, "Whoa, do you really feel that way? Like, are you like?"
Yeah.
He also blurs the lines, and that's exactly how I interpreted that too.
I think
where
that's the intention.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I think we're supposed to be Superman in the moment. We're supposed to be
Yeah.
sitting there like, well, but the tanks, people dying, and she's just being full evil, and stuff.
Yeah,
But again,
I'm glad we're on the same page about that. That was a
Yeah.
ridiculous question, and I don't think Lois
Yeah.
Lane in traditional depictions of Superman would actually ask that. Like, I think
I
she'd
mean,
be Team Superman
I
in
don't
that
think
moment.
Lois Lane is, like Peter said, I'm kind of torn because I feel like there are some lines of hers where she maybe imbues a little bit of like her own feelings into it. So I feel really media illiterate right now because I'm kind of questioning how I see the scene. But I just want to say, like, there is a scene where, like you said, where she says, "Did you ask the president?" And then there's also a line where she says, "Well, according to the Bravian president, they're liberating the city." And then Superman says, "Do you really believe that?" And she doesn't answer. So that confirms that at least in that line, Lois is in business mode, and she does not believe that Baravia is rightfully invading the country. She does not believe that.
Yeah, but
she's not doing the interview she wants.
Yeah.
She's not doing the interview he wants. She's doing the interview that the news company wants.
Yeah.
But
the media wants.
That is itself a problem, though, because a good journalist doesn't ask leading questions. A good journalist doesn't ask questions they know are invalid questions. So
that's
there is a different.
That's media.
I think that kind of hits the border of suspension of disbelief, but I think that's also part of where they took like artistic license. They kind of had to push it, make it more outlandish. So
we have a word. We have a word for when journalists are asking fake questions that are for a thing. It's called propaganda. Like that's what that is. It's like fake interviews for the sake of drumming up anger or rage. It's like I don't think Lois actually. I think she's actually a journalist, and I don't think she would be asking fake questions like that, where she doesn't actually think there's an honest point of view there. I think she would say. I don't know. I think any journalist worth their salt would use their brain, and they wouldn't just be on autopilot going, well, my editor said I got to ask this question, and man, it really seems like Yarhenberg was in the right here. Darn, shouldn't have stopped those tanks. That is an interesting idea, though, and I need to go back and watch that scene because
this is a really interesting
like
conversation. Because I'm kind of rethinking it a little bit now as well. But I have the general gist of the Superman side of it, which I think is the main point.
Yeah,
the Lois side of it is a bit blurred, though. Like you are right, Clyde.
Yeah, and I felt just as indignant as Superman was. That's why I'm like, dang, dude, I'm not down for like beating my boyfriend. But that made me angry. That scene in that movie made me angry, and I was like, what are you doing, Lois? Like, why are you acting like this? But I really like that idea, Peter, that there is like she is separating them purposefully, and maybe she's crossing some journalistic ethical boundaries here and there. But there is an interesting idea. There's an interesting idea at that core. Either way, I will say, setting aside that scene. I do, just like Guy Gardner, I do wish they'd done a better job going full circle on her seeing his point of view. I know that her actions say that. She does go try to save Superman. She does, save the people of Metropolis. But I do wish there was a full circle moment there as well, where even before they smooch, she just says, damn, I really didn't trust you, or I really wish I had thought about this more. I don't know. I felt that also felt like an unclosed loop to me, and that didn't sit well with me. But yeah. Also, on fun fact, I don't know if y'all heard this. The Superman Lois kiss was censored in India. Did y'all hear about that? The Indian airing of the film, they did not want to have them smooch on camera, so they just cut that scene out of the movie in India. Yeah. I thought Nicholas Hoult did an awesome job as Lex. I really, really liked him.
He was really despicable.
He was.
Yeah. Love to hate him.
on this. I grew up with the CW Smallville, and I really like that Lex Luthor from Smallville. It was I really really like that Lex in like the teen Clark Kent growing up era, which was a really fun Monster of the Week show. Just really ridiculous, but I haven't connected with a lot of the Lexes from the films over the years. I wasn't a huge fan of God, who was the Lex in Henry Cavill's film?
Jesse Eisenberg.
That was Jesse Eisenberg. I wasn't a huge fan of that one.
No.
The Brandon Ruth Lex was oh my gosh, my brain. Kevin Spacey. I was not a huge fan of that Lex either.
Yeah.
No, I really like Nicholas Hoult. I thought he was great. I like this Nicholas Hoult Lex.
Yeah.
It was overall, I thought it was pretty good.
He was such a piece of shit, and
Definitely.
and not just him, his character too. He was like the evil billionaire with badly hidden self-interests. He was an arrogant little fucker that you just despise. You just couldn't wait till somebody punched him in the face. Just the way they wrote him in, the way he played him was just what we needed to make him the bad guy.
Yeah,
I definitely got modern like tech billionaire vibes.
Oh, he was definitely definitely supposed to be Elon Musk. Like the film is not subtle with some of its comparisons. He was definitely supposed to be Elon Musk. But yeah, no, I share the same sentiment. I think it was really great in this movie that feels very comic book like. To have such a comic book like villain was so fitting because, like you said, he's so evil. He reminded me of like Dr. Robotnik in like the old Sonic cartoons, where he's just like, I hate Sonic, and he's just like just an angry rage baiting hater. Basically, I got the exact same vibes. I love those villains. I like I said, in a movie that feels so like comedically cartoony. He was the great comedically cartoony villain. The 1A, 1A, 1A screaming and cheering. Like, God.
Yeah. What was the meme where the guy was like everything, like send everything. Wasn't that from one of the Spider-Man?
I know the meme
one of the Marvel ones.
But
I don't know.
It's just slipping in my mind.
Yeah. That same vibe. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is so random. It's coming into my brain, so it has to go into the podcast. I don't know if y'all have seen the DC movie Black Adam. Did y'all see the Black Adam movie?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The movie, like when Black Adam has to like do his big heroic thing to like stop the bad guy, and like they're at the low point where all the heroes have like been defeated or whatever, and someone has to give the rousing speech to Black Adam. I just remember, I don't even remember who says it, but I just remember the speech that he gives him is just beat his ass. And that was the entire speech, just go beat his ass. And I was like, what? Like, what is this movie? Sorry, really random tangent. It popped into my brain. But no, I like Nicholas Hoult. It was super random, yeah. But Lex Luthor was great. I will say, because I'm gonna expand this just a little bit to the sphere of villains in the movie. I didn't love all of the ancillary villains. Like, I wasn't a huge fan of a lot of the villains. I don't know their names, so I'm going to call them.
Get into it.
Okay. Okay, cool. I want to hear your thoughts.
Well,
yeah, I want to hear your thoughts on this.
I'll just first of all say I really like how, kind of harkening back to the fact that a lot of things in the film support the theme of like Superman being just like so unapologetically human. The way they kind of tied Lex Luthor into that theme is perfect, because the whole reason Lex Luthor doesn't like Superman is because he's an alien and he just came here and now he has everything. Like, he didn't do, like, he just came here, and when he got here because of the yellow sun, he had like superpowers, and now everyone loves him. Like, everyone on social media and everyone in the I have to blank on the name of the city, Metropolis. Everyone in Metropolis loves him, and he didn't even earn it. Like, he didn't do it. Like, he did earn it, but he didn't earn the powers, if you know what I mean. He just came here and he got powers, and that's stupid. I'm jealous. Like, that should be me. I loved how that was so connected to the theme of, hold on a minute, no, it's not just the fact that he has superpowers, because like the Justice Gang, you can have superpowers, but you can still be not necessarily always willing to help. You can still suffer from things like apathy. But the difference with Superman, why he's so loved by everyone, is the fact that he will every time go and save the squirrel, and go and save like, the little people on the ground and the dog getting stomped on. And he will go to Baravia and interrupt the invasion. That's why he's the most popular hero, not because he's an alien with powers. He's actually, as he says in that really great speech, like the final confrontation with Lex, that really great speech where Clark is like, look, I'm just as human as any of you. Like, I get mad, I get upset, but I wake up every day and I put one foot in front of the other and I try and do the right thing. And like, that's what makes him an actual good hero, not the superpowers that he got for free. I love how Lex ties into that theme. I think it's one of them things where it just feels airtight, like it was written airtight. James Gunn had a really good vision for how Lex Luthor was going to work, and he executed it really well.
Can I say something? I want to be a little bit critical about this Lex, and not Nicholas Hoult. I think he did an awesome job. One thing that did drive me a little bit nuts about this movie is that all of the Lex characterization the background comes at the end of the movie. He gives his thing. It's very back heavy, and we don't like. He starts the movie out hating Superman and doing all these things to manipulate the media and doing all these things to like get everybody offside of Superman. And I didn't feel like I was along on that journey with him. So like a comparison in my mind is the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man film with oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the actor's name. Crazy actor that plays Green Goblin.
Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe. Yes, thank you. Willem Dafoe. We see Willem Dafoe go on this journey, right? We see him, be the good dad. We see him become the businessman. We see him get outed by his company. We see him expose himself to the Goblin serum. We see him go crazy. We see him, revile Superman, or not Superman, Spider-Man. We see him on this huge journey, and by the end of the movie, because we're on that journey with him, we kind of get his point of view. It's warped. It's definitely a warped point of view, but we see how he's had everything taken away from him. And I guess that was one thing that I felt was missing. And I know James Gunn didn't want to do an origin story. I'm not saying that's what the solution would have been, but I do think that there is a cut of this movie where they don't put all of his characterization on the back half, and maybe they give some of that seeding up front. Maybe we learn a little bit about Lex up front and we see why he hates Superman so much. That might have made him a more interesting or connectable villain for me in my eyes. That's just my perspective, but yeah, I mean, Willem Dafoe. How do you beat top Willem Dafoe? I mean, he is a villain. Like he has that face. Like he looks in a mirror and he looks creepy by default, right? Like he's just like, like dang, Willem Dafoe.
He's
like,
great in No Way Home as well. He's like he reprises the role like 15 years on. And he's still a great villain for a different Spider-Man.
It's crazy. And he's pitiable. He's pitiable too. We like see him begging the mirror to not like torment him, but he like. I guess I wanted some more dimensionality to Lex, and I wanted it earlier in the film. But I do like what comes at the end. I think what comes at the end is great and is really meaty. But for me, I would have just enjoyed a little bit more of an appetizer too.
Yeah, I guess I like agree and disagree because I get what you're saying, but I do think it was just part of the whole. We are 3 years into this thing already existing. I think that's why we don't have that. I think James Gunn really wanted to jump into like the middle of the timeline, like just jump into the meat. And I know you said it's mostly at the end, which I kind of agree with, but I do think there's I don't know. I think you do see there's a lot of Lex scenes put in through the film of him just doing stuff like interacting with his people, and when he goes to that like crazy like board meeting with all the governors, there's some good content in there that kind of gives us a little bit of a hint to what's going on in his head. But I can, I don't hate that take from you, Clyde. I think that's reasonable. Think about
like this, Sean. You and I, we know Superman. Peter, the three of us know Superman and Lex Luthor. But there's a whole generation of kids. This is their first time ever meeting Lex, right? And for them, they're just going to be like, "Dang, this dude really hates Superman for some reason." They're just like, "Dang, this guy is malding. He's spamming 1A because he really hates this guy." Like, I'm not saying it needs the full Green Goblin treatment, but I do wonder about. I think it's an interesting idea to start, in media res or start the universe in media res. I think that's really cool, but I wonder if there were people in the audience that were like, "Dang, this guy is really malding for Superman or something." I don't know. Peter, what are your thoughts? I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this. Invisible Cat makes a return.
I was concentrated with fighting my cat. What was the last thing?
What did you think about Lex in the film? Did you connect with him as a villain? Did you?
Oh yes, absolutely. I mean, like I said, they kind of gave him a purpose, that wasn't just, I'm a bad guy, I want to see people get hurt, like, it wasn't the best, and obviously he was, going about it the completely wrong ways, like literally killing people, imprisoning Superman, like, doing all this evil stuff. But it was kind of like with Thanos, where he didn't just want to kill half the universe. He was like, with the resources of the universe, are being spent too fast. He had a little bit of reasoning, so there was a little bit of that. And then, like I said, just going back to it, they made him so hateable that it was great, and they weaved it into the story where he was you at first you thought he was just doing it for the resources of the land.
Yeah.
And then the more you learn about it, the more insidious you see it is, the deeper it goes. And like he just nailed the whole evil billionaire, the guy with so much money that he's making all these power moves and stuff, and like he just has no regard for anyone around him, and he just thinks he's the shit. And
Yeah.
and he just feels like he's always right and everyone around him is wrong and stupid, and he deserves to be the leader and stuff.
That scene where he drops the pens and makes him pick it up, and then he knocks over the pens again.
That was great, and he just knocks it over.
Is that a meme? Yeah. That should be a meme. That should be a meme if it's not already.
I mean,
pick the pens up. Do it.
I mean, in like following on from with villains, you mentioned that the two main side villains. One of them is the engineer, which is the woman with the nanobots, which is an interesting villain. That was very sci-fi, like the nanobot suit that could transform into like a jetpack or transform into like weapons. That was very weird. That was like, this is an issue that I kind of have of the film having a lot of stuff in it and not a lot of time to like really go into it all. And that's one of those things. But an even worse example of that, much worse in my opinion, is Ultraman. And the fact that Ultraman is literally a biological clone of Clark Kent, which is put into this movie at the very tail end of the action scene, and I feel like
I didn't like that.
I feel like that should be a massive deal, right? That's not the kind of thing that you put in the end of the movie for a fun fight scene. That's another Kryptonian flying around.
Yeah.
Like, and it's kind of put in the film like it's not a big deal, but it really is, in my opinion. Even if he's just controlled by Lex Luthor's drones, that's still a Kryptonian flying around. It's still a really, really big deal. You just cloned Superman in the first movie alongside two other villains, alongside multiple plots kind of going on simultaneously in this action scene that already involves two apocalyptic scenarios going on at the same time. And you're also going to throw in a clone of Superman? That felt ridiculous to me. But it wasn't, obviously, it wasn't enough to ruin it for me. But like, wow, you really maybe could have saved that for another film, or at least, involved him in the story a little bit more. But yeah, what thoughts on Ultraman?
I want to add, before we move on from Engineer, I think it is so clear. There is no character in this movie that represents more that a lot of material hit the cutting room floor than the Engineer.
Yeah.
It is so clear they cut out a lot of content around that character. She was meant to clearly be a significant or important general in Lex's army. They allude to other like bits. I wouldn't be surprised if they filmed like flashback sequences with her that just got completely cut for time. Like, I felt like this character had so much more meat there to explore, and what we got was cool. I really love the technology they showed. I thought the technology was freaky as hell, and like the way that the nanobots like entered Clark's like, oh yeah, nightmare fuel, crazy, really, really interesting. But it was very clear to me that relationship between her and Lex, there was more there to be told, and it hit the cutting room floor, and that sucks. That really bums me out, because as a result, what we've got is kind of like, she's there and she's menacing, but I don't really know much about her. I don't know much about her, and I don't really connect with her at all as a villain. But yeah, I'm also.
What was that? The changeling girl. What's her name?
Engineer.
The engineer.
It's the woman who is able to like make weapons and a jetpack.
Yeah. This is kind of weird, but what I didn't like about her was like her flourish. Okay. Like
Mm.
whenever she'd do something, she wouldn't just do it. She'd spin or she'd twirl or like when he asked her to hack the computer, she doesn't just put out her hands and like the tendrils come out. She has to do this weird thing where she like spin, you know, and like when she throws the buzzsaw, she doesn't just throw them. She does like a twirl and she'll throw them. You know, I'm like, was that necessary? It's like you know that meme with the Book of Boba Fett with the one guy who does the spin before he fires the blaster.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's that.
Hilarious.
It's like okay. I'm going deep into nerd territory here. Okay. There was
God.
there was Kevin Smith was telling a story about the Nicolas Cage Superman movie, Superman Lives, and John Peters, I think, was the director, and he was talking to John Peters about like this. There's this big spider in it, and then he's like, you know, big spider. What are you talking about? And like he was obsessed with this big spider, and then like
This is in the Flash movie, right?
And then fast forward, and then like he's actually puts the spider in the movie. You know, that I don't know if it was the same movie or a different movie, but like he was just so obsessed with the idea. I feel like somebody saw that spinning move and like in Book of Boba Fett, and he's like, "That's brilliant! Oh my god, we should make a character that's just that." And like that's her. She's just always doing all these twirls and these spins. It's like it's kind of like, you know, how lightsaber fights came from, you know, actual sword fighting to now they just see who can spin their lightsaber around their hands, you know, the fastest. And like it's just that just annoyed me so much about her.
I didn't notice. Then, I have to say I didn't notice.
Yeah, it's something subtle that I don't think anyone noticed besides me. It's just this weird nitpick about
something
her.
that really
like,
pissed you off. You were like,
yeah, whoever her choreographer was, like, he was really trying to get overtime for that work, because that was a lot of unnecessary movements, and that's really irked me about that part. And then something else. I remember when they were when she was pushing him up into the sky, you know. And like putting her nanos into his mouth and stuff. Like I was like, Superman, break her jetpack, dude. Just touch it, just flick it with your finger, like, and she can't fly. Like, what is this? Right. You know?
That scene was strange. Yeah. I like the idea that she tried to suffocate him with nanobots, because that's cool. That's like, you know, when you ask your friends, like, oh, you know, if you were going to kill this superhero, if you had to kill Superman, how would you do it? Like the boys, like, we have to kill Homelander. How are we going to do it? Do we like throw him into the sun or something? And I'm like, that's a pretty good, if you have a nanobot technology, it's a pretty, because he can't be killed from like penetration per se, but he can be killed from suffocate. He can hold his breath for a really long time, but he can run out of oxygen and die. So theoretically, suffocating him with nanobots is a good idea. Of like, I like how Lex had that plan up his sleeve to try and kill Superman. That kind of shows me that they were smart and they thought about this. But yeah, that scene was weird. I don't really understand how him. I don't remember. I don't know if I missed something, but I don't understand how him flying into space and then flying back down fixed that situation.
Like, yeah, I didn't like that. Like when that scene was happening, I thought, oh, he's gonna go into space and they're not gonna be able to breathe. Or like,
yeah, that's what I thought
they're
too.
Gonna freeze or something, or it'll head toward the sun and it'll burn them out. Like, there's so much like, oh, he's going into space. This is awesome. And then literally, right when he got to the edge of space, he just dropped back down.
Yeah, I didn't understand.
No, he's just gonna use gravity. You know, it's like he could have just flown up and then flown straight down. He didn't need gravity to do that. Like, it was such a anticlimactic way to end that fight. You know.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I was just missing something, but I don't understand. Yeah, I don't understand how that diffused the situation. Anyway, yeah.
I have to imagine in the next 5 years or 10 years, there will be an extended cut of this film, and I would bet money that there will be a lot more content around the engineer that was cut out of this film. Just her backstory, her origins, her relationship with Lex. I would bet that was something that hit the cutting room floor here. And what we got was just visually interesting, but yeah, not to my tempo. And I completely agree, Sean. Like the Superman clone came out of left field. It came very abruptly, and it didn't hit as hard as it probably should have otherwise. Yeah. It didn't hit as hard.
Yeah, that was huge, massive plot hole right there. It's like, wait, you can clone Superman, and you only made one clone of him? You know, like.
True.
So not only does that open the can of worms for, oh yeah, so now anyone can clone him, but it's also now that, it's just so easy. Just make a clone and he has superpowers. Like, yeah, I
And he's
didn't
mind
like it.
controlled. Yeah.
That was
mind controlled.
that was the let's use the let's drive warp speed at the enemy part of Star Wars, but in Superman.
Right.
It's like,
Right.
no,
Yeah.
don't introduce that. Don't, no.
Like while I was
please.
watching it, I was like, the film isn't acknowledging how big of a deal this is. That there's and it wasn't necessary either, because this fight scene was going fine anyway. Even if we didn't know who Ultraman was, there was having it be a clone of Superman didn't change the fight really. It didn't really change anything at all. It didn't make a difference.
Yeah.
So I didn't
like when Ultraman or what was he, the whatever he called himself at the beginning,
the Hammer of
Meridia
Iron or something.
Yeah, the Hammer of I remember when he was fighting him and he was just destroying Superman. I'm like, okay, there has to be some way Superman gets the upper hand on him, because if he can't do it by physical, maybe he like finds a way to use his eye blasters. Like there's some way Superman finds a weakness to kill this guy, because there's no way Lex Luthor can just make a robot that beats Superman, because then he could always just make a robot that beats Superman. Now it's possible just to, and that doesn't work. So there's no way they'd allow that. But the whole clone thing is like just as bad, right?
Yeah.
Like, I even thought, like he'd try and reason with him, like, hey, you're me, like
I still think that's on the table, because he didn't conclusively die. But anyway,
yeah,
right.
I mean, I mean, technically, literally black holes rip atoms apart, but
he is Superman.
Superhero movies, he's probably chilling in there.
He's probably landed on some. He probably landed on some Thor Ragnarok-esque planet somewhere.
Knowing
James Gunn.
Yeah, he's probably in the void, just waiting to get out. But I agree. I definitely hated that was a thing, and I agree. It didn't get much fanfare about it, but maybe that was for the best, because that's one of those things where it's like, okay, let's just forget if that happened. Because honestly, that's probably what's going to happen. They're going to be like, oh yeah, Superman can be cloned, but we're not going to try that again. So that's off the books.
How I'm curious, for just this is something we should have talked about at the outset, but I didn't think to bring it up. But how important are villains for y'all in superhero films? Like, are they like really, really important for the film to be successful in your mind, or are they just kind of like nice to haves? Or I'm curious what your general thoughts are.
Well, I think it depends, because I doubt I'll be able to think of examples off the top of my head, because I wasn't prepared for this question. But I feel like there's plenty of really good films out there that don't have any like comic book films, obviously. That don't have like a villain. Like rather the villain is like a force, or there's no villain. It's just about interpersonal conflict instead. I feel like those films exist, so I don't think villains are strictly necessary. I think that's just basic storytelling, really.
I
would say when they're done well, like they were here, and like they were in, say, the Batman or Dark Knight, when they're done well, they're just as important. They're easily just as important as the main character. They're equal. They're very equal in terms of like importance and how they tie into the story.
I see it as exactly like that. Two sides of the coin, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're the yin and yang, the up and down of the whole movie is and so like having a really weak villain, can really ruin the story. Just like having a really weak superhero can just, it's hard to root for him. You have no interest in what happens to him, right? Like in a lot of the Marvel movies, they'll just introduce characters, and then like they'll kill them off, and you're like, I didn't care about him. What am I supposed to care that they died? I barely knew him. Like stuff like that. And especially like, and the first one that comes to mind, of course, is easily one of my top villains of all time. Is the Heath Ledger Joker. Was just like that made the film so great that like you actually enjoyed how terrible of a person he was, right? Because he was just so good at it.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's one of the better forms of villain that I like, is that you're not empathizing with him as much as you are just like enjoying the character he's playing, right?
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
there's a bunch of dynamics to it, and like you said, there's sometimes when there isn't a villain, which I think is far more difficult to write.
Yeah.
You know, just having a non-villain kind of entity, because it's so much better just to have, you know, the bad guy, you know, to focus a lot of the hate and the story on, and the conflict. I actually can't even think of any that don't
I'm
have a
I'm I'm
specific.
struggling to rack my mind for films that don't
Yeah.
have a villain, but I can think of
Mhm.
a few films that have villains that are really unimportant. The
Yeah.
first one that comes to my mind is my favorite film, Into the Spider-Verse. Kingpin is kind of the villain, but he's also real, like his motivations and stuff are really not that important because the whole film is about all of the spider people coming through the multiverse, how that affects Miles. Miles is transitioned from not being interested in being Spider-Man to, you know, not believing in himself, not believing in his abilities to be Spider-Man, to becoming a full-fledged Spider-Man. And it's also about Peter B. Parker kind of going through the same thing where he's going through some shit in his universe, so much so that he doesn't even want to go back. He kind of tries to make excuses to stay because it's kind of darkly implied that he'd rather die in this universe as kind of a sort of dark suicide than go back and face that his universe where he's divorced from Mary Jane. But like Miles being so nice to him, and Miles teaches Peter the lesson that Peter has been trying to teach to him this whole time. He's like, they have that nice moment at the end where Miles knocks him by his ankles and grabs him, and he's like, like you gotta go and give it another shot. You have to, and then he agrees with him, and they both teach each other a lesson. That's the whole point of that film. Like Kingpin's there, and Miles has like a punchy fight with him at the end, and he wants to revive his family. That's why he's tapping into the multiverse. Well, that's really not. He's not vocal. He has nowhere near as much focus as any of the main characters. That's an example of a film where that's an example I can think of where the villain is not integral.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I'm team. There's the villain. For me, a villain really elevates a superhero film. When I go to a superhero movie, I want to see the heroes be challenged in a meaningful way. And if a villain feels weak or unintimidating or not particularly a good foil for them, then it does lower the film in my standards. The sword cuts both ways. If the villain is outstanding, it turns an otherwise mediocre movie into a great movie. Like I think the original Spider-Man is this kind of movie. Like I think the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man's an okay movie, but Willem Dafoe makes that a much better movie. His craziness and antics make it a much better film. And I think like I didn't love Iron Man 1, but largely because of the villain. RDJ is awesome. I didn't connect with the villain all that much, and he's not particularly memorable to me. So yeah, I didn't love the villains in this movie. I like Lex, but everybody around Lex really lets me down. I really do not like the engineer. I'm not a fan of Bizarro Superman, or I guess clone Superman. And I try to focus on the Lex, but yeah, I'm curious to see an extended cut of this film in 5-10 years.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll care more. I bet I'll care more about the engineer then. But right now, I'm just like, meh. Why didn't he just rip off your jetpacks, lady? He just ripped off your jetpacks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just so I'm not, some hateful person, I'm gonna say, like, yes, on one hand, I really hated how they portrayed her. I feel like they could have done much better. But on the other hand, man, I loved how they did Hawk Girl. That was great. She was
Yeah, Hawk Girl was great.
I feel like she needed more screen time. I wanted more Hawk Girl, less engineer, because damn, like she was one of the breakout characters of that film, I think, that really deserved more screen time.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely needed more screen time.
She's also like, I mean, this goes to the Justice Gang as a whole, but they're also kind of they're very brutal. Like Hawk Girl is very serious and unforgiving and dangerous. Like at the end of the film, she murders the president of Baravia.
Right.
Like there's no beating around the bush with that, and she doesn't really hesitate. In fact, I think she enjoys it very much based on the look on her face. But yeah,
she fatality and throws
she flies the president into the air and throws him from like 200 feet and kills him, which was a great scene. But obviously, I don't think Superman would be too happy if he was there. Maybe it's a good job he didn't go himself.
Yeah.
Right. That's probably why we don't see much, because she's a bit the antithesis to him.
Yeah, they all have great anti-hero vibe. I like that, and I like how we're probably going to see them all, grow from that perspective a little bit, maybe in the future. Especially, well, I don't know. Guy Gardner could go either way. He could become a cock, or he could, he softens up a little bit at the end of this film. I also really like when he arrives in Jarhamper, and the kid's got the Superman sign, and he comes down and he goes, "Sorry, kid, Superman couldn't make it, so you got an upgrade." And he floats down.
Yeah.
He floats down with so much aura. It's hilarious. And the kid
I love the middle
let him go.
fingers. That was a great touch.
That was good. Yeah, that was good. I also like the scene where Superman's talking to Lois, and in the background
they're fighting
the baseball bat.
Yeah, the
swinging
creature.
the baseball bat around was hilarious. I was laughing in the cinema while they were speaking.
I just love the image of him just like laying back, just trying to relax, and in the background, just this interdimensional creature, is just floating, and just Superman's just like, I'm so tired of this shit.
I need a Mr. Terrific movie now. I need to see him.
I think he's confirmed the show. I think most of the characters are confirmed the show.
I think they're what they call themselves, the Justice something. Yeah. Like I'd love to see like a movie just about them. See where that goes, because I thought they were interesting. Like I agree it was kind of weird with the whole apathy thing, but I think that was in theme with the movie, that it was trying to show that people didn't care as much as Superman cared, and in the end like they kind of came around, and
very quickly they come around.
Too quickly. I'd agree too quickly, but I think that was in theme with the movie.
Yeah, I would watch a movie of Mr. Terrific just living his normal life with those floating orbs. I would watch him do laundry with those orbs. I'd watch him cook with those. I'd watch him go on dates with his orbs. That was such I've never seen that in a superhero film before. I love seeing things that I've never seen in a superhero film before. I'm like, this is dope. This is super cool. That fight scene was super sick. Like, I'd love to see him.
I loved his.
I got Zenyatta vibes from that.
I get that reference. That's Overwatch, right?
Yeah, you get that reference. Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know if Clyde gets it.
I played it very briefly.
To some degree, I
love how unique of a character he was, because he's so not really like a superhero I've seen before. His attitude's so funny. Like when they walk up onto the beach with the military beach where the portal is, and he's ignoring everyone. I thought that was so funny, because I'm like, he's so intelligent and he's so smug that he's not even listening to anything anyone is saying. Like they're all around him like, turn back now, and he's just speaking to Lois as if nothing's happening. And then eventually one of them just goes, "Oh, turn back now, or we're gonna, stop what you're doing right now, or it's over for you." And he just goes, "I was about to say the same thing," and then he proceeds to start just murdering everyone. That was great.
That was a great scene.
He had a great attitude. It was so funny and it was so unique. The way he was just so he always seemed frustrated about being the smartest person in the room, all the time. He was sighing all the time. He was so done with everyone constantly.
Yeah. And, even before that, I remember they're talking about the scene where that's where the portal is. We're going there. I'm like, whoa, you guys are just gonna go there? What's just you two? What's going on? Like Lois and one of the dudes is gonna go, and then you actually see him, and he's like, oh, okay, this is what this is why he didn't care, because this is totally beneath him. It's like, okay,
there's a really random scene in the final Lex confrontation where they get into his little pod and Superman has his cool speech where obviously Mr. Terrific goes to try and find a way to shut down the huge rift portal thing that's destroying the city, and he walks over to a computer, and some guy's like, "I'm a technician, let me help," and Mr. Terrific just puts his hand on his face and goes, "I don't need no damn help. I'm the goddamn Mr. Terrific." Because that was so out of that was so randomly out of character. He just kind of got really hyped about himself for a second. It's hilarious.
I need a Terrific film now. I need it. I want it in my veins. I will watch him do his normal day-to-day life, eating pizza. I'll watch the orbs carrying pizza around his apartment. I would totally watch 2 hours of that. Absolutely.
Yeah, you're a slave to Mr. Terrific, apparently.
I love it. I'm down.
Cool. He was cool.
He's definitely cool. I agree.
We covered a lot of I think we covered all of the side characters at this point and the villains.
Yeah,
but something we haven't really talked about is the two sets of parents in this film and the roles they both play in their own part to the character of Clark and the overarching themes and the plot as a whole. Should we start with the Kryptonian parents and the twist surrounding their motive? What did we think about that twist? Because it's definitely not. That's not normally That's not normally the case. I don't believe in Superman media that they are inherently evil, the Kryptonians. I think that's new. Clyde, you seem passionate about something.
I didn't like it. I also don't know. I hope if anyone's listening to this and in the comments, like if that is canon to Superman lore, I'd love to hear it and I'd love to understand it. But I have never, in all the years I've been watching superhero films and depictions of Jor-El and Superman's mom, I have never once seen a depiction that implied that they were warmongering, colonizing, wishing for colonistic ambitions for their son. That was never something that I've ever seen in Smallville, in any other Superman film. So for me, I did not like that plot point, and it just felt like, I don't know, it felt like they were just writing it for the sake of just writing drama into the movie and giving him this this conflict. And I don't know, I didn't like it. It didn't sit well with me. It felt a little bit yucky about like how they kind of just wanted to how it felt manufactured for the film. That's my immediate thoughts. I want to hear y'all's thoughts on this. And I'm open to having my mind changed, but I really want to hear y'all's thoughts.
Yeah, Peter, go ahead.
I agree. It definitely felt kind of contrived, kind of forced. But I don't think it was as bad as that, because like they weren't exactly telling him to like conquer planets as much as they're just like completely condescending for a race that isn't theirs. Like I feel like that's completely in line with how the average person on the planet Krypton would see the Earth. They'd be like, yeah, they're a bunch of weak-minded, individuals. They can't even fly, like these guys. Yeah, just go over there, like pick up a couple buildings or something. You'll be a god, whatever. Like
I think in the movie they say like, take
it was just so flippant.
Wives.
Yeah. It was just straight up like yeah, like these beings are beneath us. Anyways, we sent you there because you'll have no problem living a life. They're no threat to you. Like I kind of got that kind of vibe from it. But I agree, it definitely caught me off guard. But it was great the way they worked it into the film. That was the message all along. And he never saw it. And then when it was revealed, like on one hand he was just like completely flabbergasted, and then like people. And this is what I hate about that, is how quickly people were to accept that Lex Luthor is like, oh, did you know that Superman still had the ship that he flew here in? It's like, really? Yeah, and they had a message from his parents still in the system. Really? Yeah, and I have a copy of the message from Superman's ship from his parents that is still on his system. Oh wow, show me. It's like, yep, here it is. It's like, wow, that's real. Superman's a piece of shit. It's like,
I think they helped alleviate that when they said that they got the world's best technicians to like analyze the footage. That was a little bit of help, a little bit.
Yeah, I felt like that was necessary, but at the same time, like I couldn't help but think like, oh, you're the expert in interdimensional video communications from Krypton. Yeah. Okay, buddy. Yeah, this is legitimate. Like, what are you basing it on? This is a legitimate alien message? What the fuck? Get out of here. Like,
also, I have to point out, Peter, I've got to point out, like, that message, we really have to suspend disbelief because of how quickly society accepts that message, right? Like, Superman has been saving people and squirrels and children and burning buildings for a decade or however long he's been doing his shit. He saved thousands of people, and one shitty video message changes all of society's mind that he's suddenly a bad dude instantaneously. I'm like, bro, like if I was one of the people who he'd saved my dad, I'd be like, bro, fuck that message. Sorry, I'd be like, screw that message, man. Like I'm just gonna trust that Superman's a good guy. Screw that fake news. Like I absolutely, that was a ridiculous that they had all of society just instantly accept like he's evil now. He's here just to take many wives.
Society is strange in this movie.
Yeah, society's very strange in this movie. But,
me personally, I can take it or leave it. Superman's parents being evil. I don't have any like pre-established care or lore for Superman backstory because I've never been a fan. I've never been a fan before, so that's just naturally my stance. Again, I think the society stuff is weird, but aside from that, I like how they contrasted that with his actual adopted parents. I think that was the main reason they made this change, because obviously he has that really lovely sit down conversation with his adopted dad, where his adopted dad tells him that just because the people who sent you here are evil and they told you to do an evil thing doesn't mean you have to. His dad said, like, we don't tell you who your parents don't tell you who you're going to be in the future. They give you the tools to decide for yourself what you're going to be in the future. So that's the whole reason. That's the whole reason James Gunn wrote the biological parents that way, because he wanted the adoptive parents to have this point of like, no, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you get cancelled on Twitter. Like, you've been saving people this whole time. So what does learning something different about your past actually change?
I mean, that was my least favorite part of the film, and I think I was literally on my phone for that part. Like,
Bruh.
Like when he was like talking with his dad, like I knew exactly what he was gonna say before. It's like, I know what this is about.
Cancel this
This is
fucking
the
man.
whole. This is the truth is inside you, Superman. It's like, yeah, like, and I'm sitting there just typing notes on my phone, and I'm hearing the dialogue. And I'm like, yep, that's okay. Yeah, I knew the scene had to happen.
You've been so base for 2 hours and you drop it now.
Snooze,
You base for
Z-
2 hours, you
cancel.
drop it now. 2 hours 5 minutes in, you're just not base anymore.
It was so
Fuck me.
predictable is the thing. Okay, like I was like, all right, here's where like his parents, teach him what it is, and like I was more concerned with like I hated that like you said, the people were so quick to accept that Superman's evil. He didn't even have a chance to defend himself. That was kind of lame.
I will say, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this as well. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but like, I feel like Superman accepts that decoded message really quickly. Like, he's been trying to decode it for a long time, and Lex comes out and is like, "Here's the real footage. Here's the whole thing. All right, I see, Sean. All right, lay it into me, Sean. Lay it into me."
Counterpoint: Mr. Terrific is literally the biggest genius on Earth, and he tells Clark that the message is real.
That's true. That is fair. That is a very valid point. I don't know. It just felt like he accepts this message very quickly, and
He does.
I was waiting for it to be revealed that it was like a deep fake or something like that.
That's what I was thinking too.
And it turns out the real video was.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that was such a great opportunity to like not only throw in the existence of deepfakes, which is, relevant, but at the same time, like it could help flip the people's view, like, hey, here's the real story, like and he's actually good, and then it's just additional evidence to Lex that he's a piece of shit, to help turn him like, oh, you're doing this, you had motives and stuff like that.
I think you just improved the film.
Could have been
Peter.
pulled off better.
I think that makes it a better movie. I actually completely agree. I like that. I like that idea. I think that goes in a good direction. Yeah. I will say one thing I agree with you, Sean. I'm also not super invested in like Jor-El and Clark's mom being canonically good or evil. I'm not super invested in that. I will say though, if the movie was going to go in that direction where they're going to have like, oh, Clark, your birth parents were actually colonial propagandists or whatever, I do wish they'd had Superman grapple with this more. Like, it feels like he has one conversation with his like adopted dad, and that resolves all of it. Like, it feels like this should be a huge internalized crisis for him. Like, he should not only be like, I don't know. I kind of wanted more meat on the bones here. And again, it's a movie. It's 2 hours long. We got to get in and out pretty quickly. And this is probably a superfluous scene I'm looking for. But it just felt like he hears the fake news. He has the conversation with his adopted dad very quickly. He, processes those emotions. Speed runs through that. He doesn't even need therapy, and he's just in and out. And at the end of the movie, he's chilling with memories of his adopted parents, and it's like it's already gone in the wind. His Kryptonian parents are gone in the wind, and I'm like, this feels very fast to me. And I kind of wanted some scenes where he's like really looking in the mirror and asking himself, "Am I the person who I thought I was?" I kind of wanted more of that. But I mean, that's just me being nitpicky.
I think that feeds into your character development.
Yeah,
You desperately wanted to see character development out of him, and and that would have been great if that was the direction that the movie was heading in. If it was focused more on him, I think that would have been like one of the most poignant parts, was him trying to figure out, is he his biological parents' kid, or is he his his actual parents' kid. You know,
Yeah,
could have definitely been an angle. But I think just because of what the film had consistently done so far, that like Superman's right, everyone else is wrong. You know,
right.
and like it just goes again that like, yeah, he doesn't even think about it. It's just like no, that's
Yeah.
no, that's not right.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
So
and I love the core message. I think the thesis
Yeah.
is actually a great thesis, and it's a great message that kids need to hear, and it's a hopeful message. I just wish they'd gotten us there in a little more deliberate and thoughtful of a way. But you're right; it's a different. I'm looking for a different kind of movie there. But I really do love the message. The core message is a great one. But yeah, I agree. I think going a deep fake storyline would have been relevant. It would have hit really hard right now. Man, Peter, I think
I
just
honestly thought that's where it was going. I'm like, okay, where's the reveal when everyone's going to be like completely shocked that wasn't what the actual. It turns out Lex was able to manipulate the transponder, and that's what fooled the experts or something. But
Jeez,
like each time they were like, oh yeah, an expert verified, and they're like, okay, they're doubling down, they're tripling down. It's like, okay, yeah, I guess it's not going to happen. So
interesting.
But yeah, I mean, yeah. Just overall, just the fact. I'm sorry to interrupt. What?
Oh no, go ahead. My apologies. It's the delay.
Just the fact that we're able to talk this deeply about a superhero movie just goes to show how much effort was put into it. You know, like, can you imagine having this kind of discussion about a Marvel movie, about motives and the characters and like the reveals and the plot points? Like, just the fact that we can sit here and have this much, this much to say about it, it goes a lot to show that this really was different than your average superhero movie. And even if someone isn't a fan of superhero movies, I could definitely recommend it because it's something different. It really goes for a different angle. And as someone completely burnt out from superhero movies, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a great movie. I loved it as well. Yeah, I'll be seeing it. We didn't get to buy the popcorn bucket. Shame on me. But yeah, but it was good. Man, Sean, you've watched both me and Peter get canceled this episode. Me for even humoring the idea of domestic violence, Superman pushing Lois out the window, and Peter self-reporting that he's a movie theater phone guy. Oh my gosh.
I think I'm the only cancel-free person so far.
You might be.
So far this episode.
Just wait till you comb through the footage. You'll find something.
Yeah, what if it's all deepfakes, huh? What if we're being deepfaked to look like the villains here?
It's been 2 hours, 10 minutes. I can't go 10 minutes without some raucous take. So when I go through editing, there'll be something just
if you take his eye blinks,
in there.
If you convert it to Morse code, I'm telling you, there's some really controversial stuff going on there.
Genuinely. I mean,
awesome.
Anything else about Superman, or are we done? Like, holy shit!
I think we covered most of the big stuff.
I'm trying to think. Is there anything I forgot? Like, let me consult my notes briefly.
Yeah. There's something that annoyed me. Going back to the whole reason that I just kind of spaced out during the scene with Superman talking with his biological dad on the farm.
You mean he adopted dad?
Same thing with his monologue to Lex Luthor at the end. When he flies in and like he's telling him, what's what. Like, you remember that?
Yeah, the best scene in the film.
And like that monologue he does, it's just so cheesy. And I was like, come on.
Oh my god, we made it so far.
Ding, 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 ding,
so far. Though
you can cut that out if you want, but I was like, okay, Superman, okay, it got a little preachy, okay. I won't say I hated it, but it was just kind of like, you got it. That was perfect. Okay, you don't have to keep going.
Is Superman not cheesy though? Is Superman not cheesy?
Let them fight.
I mean, superhero movies in general are cheesy, but
they are. Yeah.
I like both of those scenes. I like how Superman actually loses his shit because he's frustrated. He's frustrated that Lex is not understanding Superman at all. Lex thinks that Clark is just this angry alien, There's not angry alien, but this alien who just came here and got everything for free. But he isn't. He says,
I don't disagree with the message at all. Like, I think it's great that he
You
goes
just
there
think the
and he's
scene
like,
was ham-handed?
"This is who I am."
Yeah.
I just didn't like the writing for what he says.
Okay,
Like,
okay.
I love that he goes, "This is me." You know, I'm not what you think I am. But like, just the literal words they used, I thought that could have been, because this is like the dialogue, right? This is like, he faces him at the end. He tells the villain what's what, like, and then it just kind of, it didn't flow, you know? Like,
but I wake up every day and I put one foot in front of the other, and I'm a good person.
Exactly. But like that line, I'm like, oh, come on.
I said it because I knew Sean loved it. Sean was over here like, this is hype, and Peter's over here like, this is so trite.
Yeah.
Like,
Sean is watching the line like, one foot in front of the other, and I'm sitting there like, oh, you put your pant legs one leg at a time too, right? Is that right? Okay, all right.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! What have we done?
I get it.
Okay.
It is cheesy and hammy, but I'm thinking about like young kids watching it and just like being inspired by that guy because he's so cool and he's so nice and what he's saying is right. But look, if your problem is just with the lines that were written, fine, I can accept that. Fine, like that's
okay.
valid.
Okay, I completely agree with you, Sean. It sounds like it was written for children. Completely agree with you.
God,
absolutely 100%.
Okay, we
found this cancellation point right
rage
there.
Bait.
Clip it.
No,
Clip
I don't get rage baited. No.
Okay.
You're valid.
Okay, but yeah, that was why. So. But otherwise, it's just, just nitpicky little things here and there. Overall, great. I loved it. Loved the angle. Can't wait to see, what comes after this.
Ditto. I think the DC universe has a bright future for sure.
I haven't seen such a relatable Superman since Christopher Reeves. So
if they just keep putting in new ideas, Crypto is a great new idea. The robot's a great new idea.
Just keep pulling it from the comics. You have this resource that's decades long, like almost a century. When did he come out? The 40s, the 30s,
right.
40s.
Yeah. It's like 80 years of Superman resources that are canon. That sure, like some people may not remember. Like I didn't know. Was it Crypto?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know he existed, right?
Yeah.
But, I see on the internet,
but yeah,
I see people blowing up on the internet like, oh, they got Crypto. It's like nerds absolutely nerd out to it, and people who see this stuff, who like me, who don't know it, now they have more of an interest in Superman. They may actually go read the comics now.
I do. I do.
Yeah. One of the coolest things that one of these movies can do when it's based on a book or some other media is to make you so interested in it that you go see the other media, right?
100%.
So
100%.
So that I think that's I wouldn't say it's a goal, but it's definitely one of the really good results from something like that.
You mentioned Crypto and how like you didn't know he existed. I did. I don't know why. I don't know if he's been in like a game or a cartoon or something, but I was familiar with Crypto when I saw the trailer. But like I have a funny story about that because I was talking to my dad about it because he likes like the Henry Cavill Superman and stuff. He's one of those people who likes the that era of like dark superhero films. He loves those. He loves Dark Knight and he also likes the Henry Cavill Batman stuff because it's tonally sort of, depressing. It's doing the more like inner conflict superhero thing, which was really popular back then. But so I was telling him about this new superhero film, and I was going like, I'm sorry, I was telling him about this new Superman movie, and one of the things was that Crypto. Anyway, one of the things
Benji hearing about Crypto, got him all excited.
And one of the things I said, I was like, yeah, no, it's great. It's got a funny dog in it. And his first reaction was like, oh, he's got a dog now, has he? Of course he has. Like he was like, oh, everyone's got a little cuddly toy now, haven't they? Eh? All these baby Yodas, all these little animals, and I was like, yeah, Dad, the dog's from 1955, and he was like, oh. That was a funny
I had known ahead of time. I known ahead of time that the dog was in before I saw the trailer. Like I don't know so I couldn't tell you what my first impression was of seeing the dog. And being like, oh, well, now they're adding a dog in. So I had that kind of almost spoiled for me a bit. But I mean, even the way they put it in, like it was so awesome. Like he comes in, he's got a big billow of snow as he's like dashing
Whoa,
through,
that was
and you're
so
like, "What is
cool.
that?" And then he comes, like, "It's a dog, and he's got a cape." Like, just the entrance was great, you know. Like, so like how could you hate that? Like, the opening scene, really great. And let me tell you, I love when movies just boom go straight into the action,
Yes.
and then like not only that they go straight into action, but then they lead into, oh yeah, by the way, boom, Superman, you know, and then they find a really creative way to kind of get the title in, you know,
Yeah.
like the way they kind of zoom in on his logo, and then
Yeah.
it's like Superman.
That's
I'm like,
that's some James Gunn
that was
shit.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of James Gunn, as much as I love this film, of the James Gunn films I've seen, which is just Guardians of the Galaxy, unless he made some other MCU stuff that I don't remember.
I think he did Peacemaker. He did the series.
Oh, I haven't seen Peacemaker. Yeah, I think
that, yeah.
as much as I love this film, I still think it's weaker than all three Guardians films. I think each Guardians of the Galaxy film individually is better than Superman, but it's not by a big margin, by a very small margin. I think like they're all funnier, and you know how you said, Peter, about sometimes the writing is a little bit hammy in those really important moments. Guardians of the Galaxy doesn't suffer with that problem. Guardians of the Galaxy has basically feels like a way more, you know, so like a vastly more well prepared films than Superman. Like all the lines are really airtight. All the characters are worked really well.
I'd even say it goes too far. In the third one, when it flashes back to his rocket, and I felt like they I don't know if I'd say they spent too much time on it or they went too deep with it. You know, like it really ruined the vibe of the film, which a lot of the Guardians, the first two anyways, you know, like I wouldn't say it was happy go lucky, but you know, like it was just weird the way they'd flip back and forth between these scenes, and it just felt so dark and drill, and like you knew what was gonna happen, you knew what was happening and what was gonna happen, and like they just kept, you know, building up these characters. I think they kind of stewed too long on that, and they could have just alluded to it in far shorter snippets. I remember even my dad, who was sitting next to me, when it started getting too long, and we were like this doesn't feel right. This feels out of tone with the movie. I'm like,
really?
Yeah,
I've never heard anyone criticize Guardians 3 before. Wow.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get cancelled now as well.
Here.
I think
you are 2v1 here, Sean. I'm also not a fan of Guardians 3, but
oh
I love
God,
Guardians
I'm
1
so
too.
Cancelled.
Guardians 3 is not my steez, but
I think
interesting.
Yeah, I think one of my complaints about 3 is the length. Like it was really long, and like I felt like it could have been, obviously a lot happened, you know, and a lot of it was cool stuff. And like if I was the editor, I'd be like, oh man, if I cut this, then we won't get to this, you know, like I'd be having a what's it, like a Sophie's Choice. Like I feel like that's what happened. Like they had so much cool stuff, they had to put it all in. I'd have preferred if they just like cut it in half and made it 4, you know, like because it felt like 2 different movies, you know, right?
It did.
Yeah. It felt like they smashed like 2 different books together, or 2 different arcs or something. So it was kind of weird because you thought like near the middle of the movie, like it was like, okay, any second now it's gonna end. Oh, okay, this is the final conflict, and it just kind of keeps going. And so it doesn't feel like it had this traditional kind of build up and then fall like a roller coaster. It kind of like goes for a couple loops and stuff, and you're kind of and in the middle of it you kind of get kind of lost in the sauce. So I feel like on one hand you can have a ton of great scenes in a movie, and individually they're all great, but I feel like if you pile too many of them together, you kind of get worn out, you know, even if they're good stuff, good scenes, you know, you can still get worn out if it just takes too long to tell the story, right?
To circle back to your original point, no, I completely agree, and I agree there. I think there are 2 films in there, Peter. I think there are 2. There's like the happy-go-lucky bouncing on Spaceballs, and the serious, dour implications of, Quinn's relationship with Gamora not being what he wanted it to be, the colony. There are two very different movies jammed into one movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of different threads in there, and in order to give each thread enough time, they just had to stretch it out, and it felt like they could have separated that a bit more, and I felt like they could have done a lot more work on each of them. But
I think that's fair. But I want to say, Sean, I actually think of the James Gunn films, I actually like Superman better than Guardians 3. I think I actually like this better than Guardians 3. Yeah, I think this would not rank it at my lowest for me. I think I'd probably put maybe Guardians 1, 2, then Superman, then Guardians 3 for me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, they're all so close for me that I'd respect any order, really. I think they're all quite similar. I do think the Guardians films have this little kind of tightness about them that Superman didn't have. Yeah, I don't know how else to describe it. Like, Superman feels like it just missed a little bit sometimes. In, like you said, Peter, there's like really crucial like dialogue scenes and stuff.
Yeah,
and in terms of being very messy, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but all the Guardians of the Galaxy feels like James Gunn was born to make them. They're all completely airtight, like borderline flawless films. I
cried in the funeral scene in Guardians 2. I literally shed tears at the funeral scene when all the like bounty hunters show up. Oh my gosh, I cried. I was like, oh, so sad. Bounty hunters coming to support each other. Oh, like, oh man, ugly cry.
Oh, it's so great. Everything's so great. Yondu's character was so great because he was always that.
They didn't feel like super. They didn't feel like superhero movies.
No, they're not super at all. They're scumbags.
Yeah, so that was great. It really broke the mold in a lot of that stuff. So definitely has a unique vibe to them, and it's and I could see some of that in Superman. But yeah, like you said, it almost feels different. Like someone else kind of had a hand in writing or something and changed some stuff. Like it just doesn't seem like you said as tight as Guardians was. I'd believe it if like someone did rewrites or something,
or some DC executive was like involved or something.
Or something. I'd believe that, even if that's not the case, just because of how it played out in the end.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, that was it. That was, I guess I'm gonna call this the Superman special. I love that. Right. That was a lot of fun. We should do we should do big specials on big movies whenever they come around. At least one that we're all interested in. I think that was really good.
For anyone who hasn't seen it, go see it. It's
Absolutely
a good time.
Go see it.
It is a fun movie to see. It's great.
At minimum, it's a must watch. At minimum.
Yeah, definitely. Recommend. Would do.
All right.
Yeah. Mr. Terrific alone is worth the price of admission. When he grabs a little orb thing and flies over, just like, oh, super cool.
Yeah, as always, Clyde and Peter, top of description. I think we're wrapping up. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for your time.
All right. It was fun.
Bye, y'all.
Take care.